do the honors, and we have Meghna as well, who'll be moderating along with me.
Sure.
So Ankit is currently the digital marketing and the head of marketing for India Bulls Housing as well as Dhani. And he's been leading the entire digital efforts, the PR efforts for the entire India Bulls group. And over the last decade, he has worked across various products and services like housing finance, real estate, asset management, personal finance, e-commerce, and now playing a very crucial role in the digital side as well. He's led multiple successful digital-first campaigns for the India Bulls group, notably India Bulls e-home loans, which is actually India's first completely online home loan solution, and of course India Bulls Dhani, which is one of the fastest growing digital apps now in the fintech space, and now the health tech space as well, and we'll talk more about that. And apart from the focus on digital, he's also been an integral part across other facets of marketing, including brand management, media planning and buying, as well as PR as well. So it's a pleasure to have you, Ankit. Welcome again.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you for that long introduction.
Absolutely, I think you have a amazing career over the last decade or so. So I think that's really our first question as well. I think you've actually seen the entire BFSI industry over the last 10, 12 years, right? And it's actually changed a lot over that period. So would you like to share a bit about how your journey has been in that, and how have you seen the entire BFSI space evolve over the last 10 years?
Yeah, sure. So I will, specifically keep it from the marketing and digital marketing point of view. And so that's point number one. The other thing I want to say is that I'll keep it candid. So it's very natural for people to know what's been there.
Absolutely.
And not give you guys a lot more bookish responses. I don't have that, so I want to keep it natural. Yeah, I have been associated with, the BFSI sector for the last 10 good years. And the difference and the change has been drastic from a marketing point of view. And specifically, I'll tell you a couple of things. The first and most important thing is that marketing was always like a support function. It was always like a function that's there, but not very, very critical for a lot more BFSI companies. For the first 5 years of my career, and it was there as a need-based department. The last
Yes.
5 years, we have become one of the most important departments, and have been started, which is a very, very good thing for being as a marketer. And a lot of that credit goes to digital coming into the picture. And when digital comes into the picture, it brings in a lot more cost savings. It brings in a lot more transparency. It brings in a lot more, data-driven approaches, and therefore you're able to measurability kicks in, and therefore the department has become a lot more profit engine rather than becoming a cost center for an organization, and therefore the need and the dependencies are higher, and therefore it is a very, very critical role that people in the marketing team have now started experiencing. That's very, very important. The other thing is, and this is specifically for a very BFSI organization, because traditionally BFSI companies are very sales driven, very people driven, very offline process oriented driven, and the change now with people, and I think it's everyone understands it very simply, because it's because people have also changed the way they consume, operate, platforms, media, and how technology. I think technology is one very important reason why things have changed from a marketing point of view as well.
Absolutely.
So so that's about it. When I started, honestly, I used to do like BTL leaflets, like, making sure that the leaflet which is reaching a branch is reaching on time, and ensuring that, and then we had a cycle of 3 months of changing. Actually, we had a cycle of 1 year. Maybe we used to revamp all our sets of creatives, and this used to happen like twice a year, which is, one festive time, and then once again in the quarter begins, so maybe Jan, Feb, March, and that's how the 2 cycles, and that's when you should do a large amount of your creative changes. With things now, we are actually doing creative every second day. There's a new creative, and we feel it's already reached its exposure limits, and and it's stopped performing. So as small as those kind of change things, to, like I was saying, overall the department is becoming more and more critical, and which is very, very good for all of us as we're progressing. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it's found its place in his boardroom, as I think to sum up what you're saying, right? It's become
Yeah.
part of the growth. It's part of the growth journey that any business needs to have the strong marketing and digital team.
Yeah, so I think you put it very nicely, because it's made its space in the boardroom and yeah, in the company. Yes.
I think Ankit, very interesting actually, which brings us actually to the next question. Maybe you can give us a little more idea. I think you've been into this industry for a decade plus now, and it'd be great to understand how did you all leverage digital in the earlier days versus now? Like, what was your marketing mix then versus now?
Sure. So I think we were always doing digital from I think 2013 onwards. We were started doing digital, 2013, 14, but obviously in its most raw manner, and where likes were more important than anything else. And what kind of likes does my page have versus anyone else have. So and then there was an era that moved into Google search. So the search was the most important platform that anyone could ever do or use. And I think that's when we all mastered search, and then we realized Google has a new Google has a is changing its algorithms and all of that. So I think so when search, social media, and SEO, search in the sense search engine marketing, and SEO. These were the three. Social media may also, it was more about engagement, or maybe just about likes and shares and views and clicks, maybe a little bit on clicks, but that's the way we started digital. And it was in 2015 or 16 when we launched our first e-home loan process, and Indiabulls that way has been pretty fast to visionary towards seeing what the market is going to look like, thanks to its understanding of the overall real estate and financial markets. So we started developing the first e-home loan process, and good thing was that we could actually disburse a loan completely online, and that too in 2016-17. And that's why we won a lot of awards that time, and to be coined as India's first e-home loan process. And yeah, so that's how we started moving towards a journey fulfillment process. However, now things have even evolved further. Now we're not only talking about someone doing a journey, but it is also about engagement, retention, cross sell, upsell, and so many other things. So I think we've seen interesting stuff on digital over the last few years. I remember a time when we used to do a lot more contextual and festive based marketing. So every festival we wanted to create that, and I think there was and like every industry sees cycles of newer things that people do. So there was a era of, like I said, there was an era of search engine optimization, there was an era of search engine marketing, then there was an era of Facebook and social media marketing and being contextual, and now there is an era which is the most important, is when it's come, we call it as the business era of digital, where we are now seeing how digital becomes not only just branding or cost center, but like a business center for all of us.
ROI.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And apart from the home loan piece that you spoke about, right? What are some of the other things that you recall from the early days, or even 3-4 years ago? What was the kind of innovation that drove success for Indiabulls?
So e-home loans was one of the largest success stories. We also felt like, like I said, I think search, we used to ensure, one of the very interesting, we used to ensure that we are on the top three positions of Google, 90% share of voice. And no, that used to really work for us, because that helped us penetrate a market which was so so driven by banks as a home loan industry. And so in that time, penetrating as an NBFC was also a challenge. And we ensured that we are there where everyone is searching for. And so the two strategies that we implemented were to be consistently visible and in shorter formats across the year for people. And therefore we ensured that we had a 90% share of voice in the top three positions for Google for a long period of time. We took like those small prominent positions in Economic Times and Times of India, even on print, to create those.
Right.
And that time the whole experience was a lot more cohesive, in the sense how offline would merge a lot into online, and we would try to synergize all our efforts from offline and online together. And yeah, that's how we grew, and those were interesting. And the other, I was saying, we had this whole phase of making films on every festive occasion. So whether it's a Women's Day and a Father's Day or a Holi or Independence Day, and we had this whole branding opportunity, because that time, Indiabulls housing finance luckily was the second largest. In fact,
Yes.
even today it is the second largest housing finance company from an NBFC point of view. We had the whole there was a need for building the brand recall and trust, and therefore we used to do a lot of these activities at that point in time that I recall very clearly. But 2017, no, not 2019, 2017 is right here. 2017 last, is when we launched Dhani. Was a remarkably changing experience for Indiabulls and me.
No, that's a good segue into our next question.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's sort of, when Dhani came in, it's changed the whole spectrum, right? And the fact that you all have two huge parts to it, one is health and the other is wealth. How did you all come about this whole thought, and what's the larger plan? Where do you all see it going from here?
So honestly, when this concept of Dhani came in, and this is, like I said, we're talking about 2017, and that also when genuinely no one in the app industry was disbursing loans via an app, completely online, and as a team, even we used to feel, will this happen? Will this really work? Like, will people actually get money? And honestly, it took us also a couple of months to accept the way it fell in place. And I think that was a great time, because we were a single product focused organization, and we launched Dhani with Dhoni, which was coincidentally a very, very nice brand ambassador that came into, and a lot of people also associated Dhani with Dhoni, as if it was Dhoni's own organization and own venture. That gave us actually a very good lift. So sometimes I feel some brand associations were like perfect for us, and this one definitely was one of the perfect brand association. And he's associated with there's a whole trust angle, and the whole honest angle, and a whole performer kind of an angle which comes with Dhoni, and which definitely reflected well with our brand. And so we launched with Dhoni. We launched something called as we had a single communication line which used to just say phone se loan, and it was so perfect that we didn't need to have any other word to even in our campaign, and one line saying phone se loan in 3 minutes did the whole world for us. And we did a couple of interesting ads, and genuinely we saw a lot of traction. And India, if you compare globally, is a credit thrived market. There is a lot of demand for credit in the country, and therefore people and a lot of credit that people don't get through channels which are either long, inconvenient, or sometimes people are deprived because they don't have like one of the documents in the correct format, and so we could channelize that kind of an audience, which we knew we could assess with Dhani's score and basis the other documents that the customer provides. And we could definitely, we started this process, and we saw great success. Dhani was one of the top most downloaded app globally in the fintech space for the first 1 year, and continues to be amongst the top 3 or 4 Google apps even today, as we speak. So so over to you.
No, absolutely. And I think, as you rightly said, even right now, I was actually just checking the Play Store. It is one of the fastest growing apps in this space. So what are some of the things, apart from Dhoni and other brand associations, what do you think are some of the things that have helped retain users on the app on Dhani?
So, retention. I think, like I say, Dhani has been one of the most exciting products, because we evolved from being a one product to a multi-product organization. From a one product, early days, the whole intention was to acquire a customer. Sooner we realized that it's not only about acquiring, and it is also about retaining a customer and upselling a customer and cross-selling a customer. And therefore we built in a lot more products in the app itself, a lot more products which people could use in their day-to-day lives. For example, we introduced a wallet, and the payments functionality, and which is primarily is one of our largest engagement tool, because it brings in features like mobile recharge, electricity bill payment, etc. And definitely those are things that people would come on the app at least once or twice a month. The other thing that we also did is we started providing all details of a particular loan in the app itself. So we never wanted a customer to call our customer care team or put into an email platform, or we wanted everything to be like accessible on his phone, and therefore we could drive people to be hooked on to our app and not delete our app, because people would want to see their loan details, and we have that accessible. Look at the statements, look at when the money got deducted, whether it's got credited. People get that comfort level of seeing it as a statement on their apps.
Yeah.
And so these are basic things that we did. So like I said, the first basic thing that we did was to ensure that customers post customer acquisition journey, which is is built in perfectly in the app. The second thing we ensured was to bring in features that people could use their money for, which is the payments angle. And then and then as we grew, we came back with games, which is as recent as 2020. After pandemic broke in, we realized that there is a lot more free time that people have in their lives, and especially at home, and therefore we were swift enough to plug in like 8 or 9 games on the app within a span of like 1.5 months of the pandemic breaking in. And therefore in June, July, August quarter, if from the latest report of AppsFlyer, we were amongst the top 90 percentile apps in terms of retention and re-engagement. And so that was, that's how we've been. And I think there's no one strategy. We have to be continuously have our ears to the ground and continuously see how we can evolve, and what the market is bringing to you as an opportunity today, and therefore work towards it, because it's so fast paced, as and we all understand that it's so fast paced. If you do not evolve your products, your processes, the way you operate, you would be stagnant, and probably someone else would be ahead of you. So yeah, that's on.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, many of these things seem basic, but actually many, even banking apps today, don't have all the features that you want, right? And I think it's taken them a long time to figure out even the basic elements. So I think one of the things maybe you're being modest about is that Dhani figured out many of these basic things early on and got them into the app so that users actually stayed on, and that's amazing.
Luckily, our management is very, very inclined towards technology as a business, and and therefore a lot of things move faster than others, and that's one way that keeps us on our toes, to ensure that we are and we are very, very swift to respond to things, and that's core because of the management's vision, and and their understanding and of the capabilities or of the potential of the platform, and that's why it is like this. So we've invested very, very heavily on our technology now.
Visibly,
yeah, I think it's very essential also, because you're coming up with things like on the go, so it's definitely needed. But I think that also brings me to the next question, Ankit. You'll have so many things on the app, right? So you'll have games, which was recently introduced, you have Super Saver, you have now there's doctor and there's medicine. So wanted to understand, how do you promote these various verticals to the audience in terms of content personalization, and how do you market to multiple audience segments using this?
A very interesting data point that I will share here with you is, a person who's involved with you on your app or with your product is most likely to take your second product as well. Okay, and this is and that is the easiest to do, right? If you have done one experience good with one product of one brand, you are likely to take another product of the same brand as well. So that was the core of introducing more products on the app itself, and that was the core of not creating multiple apps. Okay, because it is not easy to acquire a customer. It is not easy to, it is easy to lose out a customer. It is not easy to acquire a customer. So the core therefore We wanted to only have one app. That was point number one. And we believe that having multiple products in the app, because people would have different needs at different points in time, and therefore, they would pick it. We never oversell our products of, just overboard and selling one customer the other product, overtly, because that's not what the approach is. The approach is that the bouquet of products are available for you, and you may choose, not choose, and we also offer a lot of products free for first 30 days, because we believe that people need to experience our products, and if the experience is good, the chances of them returning and becoming a subscriber or a customer to product A will be much higher. So that is, and it's a natural evolution, so we've always been a financial services company, and we had products like loans, wallet, and so stocks for that matter, and we've evolved and we've just added new products into the sphere. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the new products you added is Dhani Doctor, right? And Dhani Doctor medicines and attached together, which is very different for a fintech player, right? You've been in the finance space, loans, credit, wallets, super saver, all of that. That makes a lot of sense. How did Dhani Doctor fit into this, and what is the vision behind that over the next the next version of the app?
Yeah, Vikas. So Dhani Healthcare is a natural. So a lot of people didn't know, but Indiabulls was always into pharmaceuticals as well. We always had a division of pharmaceuticals, and like I said, it's the vision of our management, and it's the farsightedness of them, looking at the need of the hour. When COVID-19 broke in, we saw a lot more people moving into teleconsultation as a model, and we see there was a need gap, and we also realized that we have the potential of putting this up, because we already have an organization which is working into pharmaceuticals, and therefore it was a natural progression therein. But it was our tech teams who could build in this product really, really quick, in a couple of months for that matter, and we've launched the all India teleconsultation model, which is by far, I think, one of the best ones in terms of it provides people instant consultation, which is what is our key differentiator, and we don't believe that a person should be going through forms and forms of a chatbot kind of an experience, or a form experience, which basically, if a person is in pain or if he's looking at something, he hates to be doing that process, and we're actually replicating the same process on an online version. Or we also experience that, why would someone move into a Dhani app for a doctor consultation versus going to a clinic, is because of sheer convenience, and we didn't want any hindrance in that convenience, and we would want it to be like as straightforward as it. So if someone experiences the product, it's as simple as just going to the app, entering your name, number, and then clicking, and you could get connected to a doctor instantly. What we've now introduced is one-time document validations, so that we know the customer is the KYC of a customer, but the next time you don't even have to do that. You can just click a button and you can get connected to a doctor instantly, and that's the USP of our product. So going back to your question, point number one is that healthcare was a natural progression, and we were timely. It was timed well with COVID-19, and it was an opportune moment for us to be into this business. It was the robust technology and our team that could pull it off. And yes, we are here, and we introduced, and now Dhani Healthcare and Dhani Money are the two core pillars of the Dhani app.
Yeah, health and wealth together, and that's a perfect combination. And I think we were discussing this earlier as well offline, that when you can connect with a doctor in 10 seconds, then obviously that changes your behavior as well, right? Earlier you would go online and search, or earlier you would find the phone number of your doctor, call them up and figure out. And today it's going to change a lot of behaviors in different scenarios. And since it's 24/7, I think, yeah, it's amazing to see how that's going to scale and grow in the coming months as well.
Yeah, and we're excited. We are also we're seeing a good response on the product, even if it's in its early days. We are seeing a lot of people trying Dhani Doctor, on a daily basis, and that's encouraging, definitely. We're going to couple it up with, medicines delivery in 1 hour. and that's going to be, another change in the way people consume healthcare today. People order medicines and it gets delivered in 24 hours, most likely. Here we're going to have people getting delivered medicines in like 1 hour, and so basically we've built in two factors purely on convenience and trust, and that's the two plays that we're building the healthcare business for.
Fascinating.
Yeah, very fascinating, very exciting, and very challenging because every day there is so many things to pick up and and do. Sometimes you feel by the end of the day that the day has just gone and you've not done really what you could have. So yeah.
I think the key is in innovation anyway. So I think as long as we're thinking for our consumers, I think you're on the right track. But in fact, thinking of consumer behavior as well brings us to the next question. So post-COVID, of course, consumer behavior has changed in the last few months. And considering Dhani is an app also offers credits, right? So there's a credit line, there is cashback on shopping, there's 5% cashback. How have you all seen that change? Has it helped?
Yeah, so we saw significant. We launched a product considering shopping post COVID, festive season coming up. We introduced a product which is the Super Saver product, offering 5% cashback. And interestingly, we saw about 100,000 customers, 200,000 customers actually signing up for it in the first month itself. So yeah, that definitely gives us signs of positivity, and people are looking at shopping, and and we see there is revival. The need for credit was always there even during the COVID times. So we always saw about thousands of people applying for credit even during COVID times, because that was the need of the hour, and I don't see that was we didn't see a dip in the need for money or for credit during this time. So the good thing is that shopping has also revived, and the maybe the need that time would have been more for essentials and more for regular stuff, and this is more on building for additional sales or additional products that people want to buy. So that's the difference that we're seeing. But there is openness towards picking up online products and picking up online products in terms of finance products like credit lines and all of that. So that's a positive sign for all of us.
Sure. Yeah, in fact, yesterday we were talking to the CEO of Sundram Mutual as well, and one of the key things he spoke about from his previous experiences as well is that when you cross-sell a product, it's much more affordable because the customer already trusts you. There's already a factor of them believing in the Dhani app, and then of course there's so many things that you could do. Are there other new products that are in the pipeline that you could expect, Ankit?
No, so there is a concept of lifetime value. Okay, and as people, as marketers, a lot of times it becomes difficult explaining a very high cost of acquisition for customers, on digital, and that's when the whole LTV model pulls in, and and like I said, that when a customer is acquired, re-engaging him and cross-selling him is much cheaper, and therefore over a period of say 10 years, the value that you can drive will be considerably higher. Then, so we should not get swayed away by seeing an initial high cost of acquisition. We should be looking at how do I build, even if I've acquired a customer, say 2x or 3x, maybe say 10x higher also, we have to ensure and see how do I build in an experience with a customer that he retains with me and stays with me for the next 10 years. And if you do that, you will be able to get 100x out of him than the 10x that we are initially swayed off. So and other way of looking at it is that you think of getting a customer at say 1x, and then start building and then lose a customer, and then start getting another customer, and then start getting another. That's a never-ending journey, and that's a short-lived concept and phenomena. So we should always live and believe in building a lifetime value of a customer who can deliver us value over a period of time, and that's the way it is. And interestingly, we have seen numbers talking about it. We've seen how it is 1/10 the cost of cross-selling versus acquiring a new customer, and it's actual numbers that I'm talking.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think, Ankit, so another quick question that's coming to my mind is, I remember you spoke about different videos, right? So for every festive campaign, you would have different videos for Women's Day. How is that approach now? So top of the funnel versus performance. How do you go about it in today's era?
Yeah, so I think for Dhani, it's slightly early while we are moving towards that direction. When it was, like I said, when Indiable's housing was there, it was a lot more supported by the offline channels, and digital used to be a supporting medium because it was already doing so well. With Dhani, it is a large dependencies on acquisition primarily right now, and I'm sure by the next quarter, we will be, it would have been 2-3 years of Dhani, we would be in a position to start doing these campaigns which are more of building value for the brand, and and just about recall and a feel good factor for customers. We'll plug in these, but I am foreseeing this in the next, by 2021, that we will make this as a regular practice. Currently, genuinely, the focus has been to build in the initial base for Dhani.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the themes we've been discussing, Ankit, is hyperscaling, right? Scaling so fast that obviously things break as well. And I'm sure you've experienced that. But what are some of the mistakes you think brands should avoid when hyperscaling? Any ideas, suggestions, inputs there that you've seen from your experiences?
So I think we are failing and we're learning. It's always day one for us. Every day is genuinely day one because we keep thinking, where are we going wrong or what are we doing? And a lot of time things will break, and a lot of things. But it's how you mend it, how you correct yourself, and how quickly you can do it. I think there are 2 points here, okay, and there are two schools of thought. There are schools of thought where people say, incubate a product for a year, test it, build it, put into regression tests and all of that, and then launch a product. Okay, by that time you realize that the market has already changed.
Correct.
So and then there is this whole and then there is a thought of like, just putting out a product which is half baked, that people will reject it on day one. So I think the benefit or the right thing is to figure out the right balance, and when do you not keep your product incubated, and for example, with the healthcare business, we could have spent a year and built the product and then come out with an extremely powerful product, but who knows by then what would have changed in the industry, and how we would rather build as we go and we improve as we go, and we and put in those features. So that's the way to go in. So the mistakes, like you were saying, things that one is that we should not launch the product too early, which is half baked, that people reject it like on day one. B, we should not wait for too long, and the exactly opposite, it's not that we should wait for like ages and try and build the best product, and it's too late for us to accept it. So we should be at the we should find that right balance and go ahead with that. The other thing is, we should try and be as customer experience and customer friendliness. Customer experience should be number one in anyone's thing, because a returning customer is always the best customer, and therefore being as much transparent as we can be, and being as much open and clear to a customer is something. So don't try and take shortcuts in terms of customers, because that's also going to be short lived.
Correct.
So yeah, these two things should be kept in mind, especially in this fast paced environment.
Sure. And one of the things that always amazes us when we work with your team is that you are obviously part of a large organization that's been around for 2 decades, but you still function almost like a startup, right? So how does that come about? How does that culture get built in a larger enterprise?
Yeah. We are a startup only.
We're a startup within a larger company, right? So
we are a startup from day one. I think it's in the DNA of Indiabulls. Everyone, we behave like a startup. We act like a startup. We make mistakes like a startup, and we learn and we scale up like a startup. So, I think that's how the DNA has been in the organization, because so unless And obviously Dhani is one of the newer products, so you see it much more here than you see it in the other places in the organization. But as at an overall organization level also, we behave very we are very dynamic in terms of what we do. With Dhani, it is like 10x of that, because Dhani is genuinely like a 2017 born app and product, and it comes clearly from the way our management and the vision of our leaders has been. So I mean, that's how it is.
No, it's amazing to see that. I think not too many companies manage to keep that startup and agility alive, right? The startup culture, agility, and ability to also accept failures and say, okay, we learned something from this and move on. I think that's definitely amazing to see.
That's the question that we get from being a 2-decade-old company, of making mistakes, of still making mistakes. Like a lot of startups won't get that benefit, but we get that benefit because we have a strong backing with an organization. However, we can't take that for granted at any point in time, and therefore we have to be on our toes every time and figure see. Yeah. So, and that's the culture of the team also. A lot of our teams are very young,
Yes.
and that's how the teams have also been put together. Yeah.
So in fact, Ankit, I think based on the whole experimentation and startup phase, I think vernacular marketing is something I know we've all experimented with, and you all have for sure. What is your thoughts on that? Worked for you all? Scale up in terms of vernacular marketing. Where do you see it going from here?
So interestingly, Dhani has a lot of audience in the tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities as well. And so I would say, so therefore vernacular marketing becomes critical, because we are offering mid-sized tickets, little ticket size loans. So obviously the market lies in a lot more tier 2 cities, and so vernacular. I think with more than we evolving, it's also the platforms where we're putting up campaigns also evolving. So I think Google, Facebook, for that matter, has also evolved to offer vernacular capabilities for brands, and deliver vernacular capabilities for consumption, and so there has to be a demand and a supply. So we tried this, say, about 2-3 years back. It did not do very well for us, but now when we try this, it starts doing well for us. When people were talking about doing vernacular 2 years back, and we tried doing it, we genuinely did not get a lot of success, and that was primarily because people, their devices, their functionalities, the apps that people were using were also not very vernacular friendly. But now, as those things have evolved, almost all apps, all phones have languages options available and stuff. Vernacular becomes very, very critical, and you guys have been running one of our very strong vernacular campaign for us, and and you would vouch for that. Vernacular is working good for us. So definitely, but 2 years before it was not, and 2 years hence it is. So
yeah, I think the ecosystem has changed. Like you said, Jio has changed the ecosystem. Cheaper mobile phones have changed the ecosystem, and definitely COVID as well has increased that consumption. Absolutely.
COVID has been good for digital marketers. People say that, it has been. It's a new way of a new way of how people would be consuming media going forward.
No, absolutely. I think we're all riding that digital wave along. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a question from the audience as well, Ankit. So Sharanya's question is around, what channels have worked for you in terms of customer acquisition, and to what extent are you dependable on AI and machine learning and other such technologies?
Sure. So all channels work for us, and we keep experimenting all channels. So initially, so I think Google, Facebook definitely works for all of us. Fortunately, unfortunately, they're the largest media holders in the digital space. 70 to 80% of the audiences are on one of their platforms.
Yes.
Or their ecosystem of platforms. So you definitely have to be on both of them. They're smarter than all of us always. So they have, clubbed all of it. And now you don't choose a lot more things, and you leave their machine learnings to do a lot more things, specifically in the app campaign. So, the power that digital also had, which was earlier we used to say we could we could select keywords, we could select locations, we could select target audience profiling. A lot of that has also been taken away with the machine learning and the AI that's being built in by the digital giants, because they want to keep all their learnings to themselves. Yeah, it's a fact. It's genuinely a fact. I always keep telling people Facebook would build something and then it would just change. And then, what as marketers, we would have spent money doing something and then we didn't have that. And similarly with Google and all, also we kept building audiences on search and all of that. And we realized we can't do a lot of more things with them anymore because Google has restricted a lot of those things, which is, so it's in a way has its good, its benefits and its fall sides. But so machine learning AI comes naturally when you have to run app campaigns, is what my first point of view is. The second is that Google and Facebook are the largest, so we can't live without them, and therefore we use both of them in equal spirits. And the other thing we keep doing is use a lot more affiliates, but our focus would always be on Google, Facebook more than affiliates. And now what we've started doing is we've started looking at individual publishers, which have quality audiences, and that depend on what kind of product we are going for. So we do a lot more analysis in terms of seeing for this category of our product, is there a very, very contextually relevant place that we should definitely be there. And that's the supplement publisher networks that we add on to. So that's on Amazon. We did Amazon for Super Saver, and I think it did fairly well for us from a point of acquisition. So we keep experimenting with each and every. For example, for our stocks product, we will always prefer a money control because we know that a significant amount of right audience is sitting on that platform. So I think it depends on the product which we are advertising, that we would choose the medium, the platform. Yeah.
And what's next for Dhani, right? I mean, Dhani Doctor, I'm sure, is definitely one of the key focus areas, but what's the next 1 year looking like for you and the Dhani app?
Next 1 year is very exciting. Our products we're going to stabilize our products. We're going to, like I said, we're going to add more customer experience to our products. We're going to be doing a lot more. We're going to be expanding on the healthcare space. We're going to be introducing the new way of how India pays, which is the subscription model. We would not have like per interest costs. We won't have like processing fees. We won't have like per consultation. We are moving to a concept of how you will want it to do it, and which is the most convenient way of just paying once a fee and then just enjoying the services in an unlimited manner. That's how India is growing. So we're going to be in that unlimited space, and that's how we're looking at expanding the market from 2 million to about 20 million odd Dhani customers is what we foresee by 2023.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. I think the hyperscale continues to happen and continues to grow. Maybe looking at something at your end as well, Ankit, is how has COVID impacted you, and have you taken up something new during the lockdown? Something that you tried out differently in the last 6-7 months?
On a personal front?
Yes.
No, I don't think so any digital marketer has got the time. Like I said, unlike other industries which got time to sit and do and reeval, I think we guys had like 2x the work than what we used to have earlier.
Yeah.
So not really. I had actually given up running, so I used to run a lot. And then by March I stopped running because of COVID came in, and then after like 6 months I realized that there is something missing. And which is just as much as in September end. So it's just been a month that I've gone back to running, and I just realized that I have to go back to my regular routine. Otherwise, I'll go mad. So, and therefore I've started living a little better life, shutting off my laptop on time. Otherwise, the first 6 months was very exciting. You're working from home and it's a way of working. Very challenging. You're on a digital sphere. See, you've left your personal life somewhere. I don't know where. While we're at our own homes, we don't have a personal life somehow. So I think after 6 months, I realized this is how it's going to be. Either I get back to building a proper lifestyle. Otherwise, I will get mad, and the productivity will only go down. So so I've gotten back to running. On this Sunday, I plan to do something interesting in terms of painting. YouTube has sent me some paint colors
The
and
DIY vases. Yeah, you have to paint the vase.
yeah, and I just feel maybe I'll do this on this Sunday. I'll do it with my son. So it's just and I sometimes these things help. So one day I just went to the market after like 3-4 months, and I came back and I was like so fresh, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a better person, because 3-4 months genuinely we didn't go really out. We
Didn't
were
step out. Yeah.
And with convenience coming in, everything used to come to your own house. We never had to really step out unless necessary, but that's actually killing. So I would recommend that if you COVID now, this is how it is going to be. Accept the way the new normal is. Built in a lifestyle that perfectly works for you. Don't overstretch. Give yourself that time, because then you will be far better the next day than just working like 12 hours or 24 hours or 16 hours a day. It makes no sense. Just don't do that.
No, absolutely. In fact, most people we spoke to, even in the team, said the commute time from office to home was like the break that they had, right? And I think I figured that out. And now I do my walk right after the work, so that I have that half an hour, which is the break between my work and home life, right? Otherwise, it all sort of merges together into one big thing. So
Yeah. And we should do it, we all should accept it, and we should do it. It's very important. Yeah.
absolutely. So I think with that, would love to hear any closing thoughts you have, Ankit, on any suggestion that you want to leave brands with. I think many of them are hyperscaling themselves. Anything that you want to leave them with?
No, I think what we need to leave everyone is that there is it's always an evolving thing on digital. Keep your ears to the ground. It's not what it is today. What works for me works for you. There is no one size fits all. Same things that everyone is talking about. It's easy to even say that, but when you start getting into the ground of it, if you realize it's actually true, you have to keep your eyes ear. And people who keep their ears to the ground are going to move ahead. And there are enough and more opportunities that the platform is out there. If you have the eye for it, and if you have the thing for it, you will move forward. Plus, I'm also learning, so I have nothing. For me also, every day is new, and I keep learning from everyone and keep sharing and talking, because so never think that you know it all, uh, because you'll never know it all. It's always good to learn, and it's always good to experiment and move forward.
Yeah, digital is always evolving, so definitely lots for us to learn. But thanks for joining us today, Ankit. It's been a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure working with you and the team as well. Thanks so much for.
Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you. Thanks, Ankit.
Thank you, Ankit. I think you're always humble, and even with all the years of experience, always learning. And I think that attitude does come across in all the conversations we have with you. And thank you for always motivating the team as well to give it the best.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you. So it's actually important. A lot of people just put pressure on their teams, and I just feel there's no point putting those unnecessary pressure. It is more about doing that right work, and let's just have the right attitude. That's more important. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Ankit. Have a great day ahead, and thanks so much.
Bye.
Over to Dhruhi and Sunil. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikas, and thank you, Ankit, for that amazing, insightful session. We're going to quickly have another quiz round. Let me share my screen. While I share my screen, you guys can please fill in the polls for Mr. Ankit's session. So as usual, please head to slido.com and put in the event code DPL2020, or you can even scan the QR code which is on the screen. Please do put in your full names so that we can get back to you on the winners after the session. A lot of exciting Amazon vouchers to be won, so please do sign up, guys. See a couple of you joining in. You can either head to slido.com or slide.do and put in the event code DPL 2020. All right, 10's a crowd, we can get started. The first question on the quiz is Google DV360 is a programmatic platform, is a demand side platform, a publisher side platform, or an analytics platform? Which sort of platform is DV360? Most of you answered publisher side platform, but the correct answer is it's a demand side platform. Moving on to the next question. What is the Google UAC equivalent campaigns on Facebook? Is it automated app ads, universal ads for apps, or app install auction? Most of you answered universal ads for apps, but the right answer is its equivalent is automated app ads. Moving on to the third question. How many users does LinkedIn have in India? Is it 42 million users, 52 million users, or 62 million users? Most of you answered 52 million, and that's absolutely the right answer. Thank you guys for joining in the quiz. We'll be announcing the winners at the end of the event today. So please stay till the end of the event to know if you won the quiz. Over to you, Sunil.
Thanks, Ray, for the wonderful quiz. I'd like to welcome Sanjay and our moderators for this discussion, David and Lalita as well. Warm welcome and good afternoon.
Hi, Sanjay.
Hi,
Very
Sanjay.
warm welcome.
Yes.
Thanks, Sunil.
Hi, Sunil. Hi, David.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone.
I think, given what we're going to hear from you today, the title should have been, driven for a 6, driving real estate sales during the pandemic. Anyway, we'll quickly go into the introductions and then you can start. Nice to see you, Lalita.
Likewise, David, likewise.
Yeah. Sanjay Kumar Jariwal holds a very important portfolio in one of the country's largest, most prestigious real estate firms, with signature developments across the South and now in Mumbai as well. We are talking about Prestige Estates Projects Limited, the well-known prestige brand of real estate, of developments, buildings across the metros in the country, signature developments, and he heads media, marketing, and sales. In other words, he is the guy who brings in the money. You could say he's the chief revenue officer. Media, marketing, and sales. This is full funnel, right from the top through to when the money comes in. He began his career in sales in media houses such as Pioneer, ABP, ETV, and culminating as the Vice President All India Sales for Zee Entertainment for the Telugu and Kannada channels. He then became a media and sales and marketing consultant before Prestige identified him 7 years ago as a marketing head. And from there, he's moved on to head everything from media, marketing to sales. Because of his focus and his commitment to ensuring results and the innovation that he's brought to the table, all of which also demonstrated themselves during the last 6 months during the pandemic. We heard yesterday from Thomas Cook and Avinash about what they're doing despite the disaster that took place in the travel industry because of the pandemic. You must also know that in real estate as well, everything came to a standstill practically, but not for Prestige, because they had Sanjay at the helm, thinking innovatively and getting people to respond even during the pandemic. And that's really what we're going to hear from him today. Over to you, Sanjay. We're all looking forward to it.
Thanks, David, for a great introduction. Only a small clarification which I thought that I should give it over here is I just take care of marketing, not the sales, because sales we have a separate department, and if I get into that, I think whatever little bit of black hair which is left on me will also come off, and I think I had already done myself on sales because handling sales for almost 3 decades for big time players like Inard or Z and TV and all those things, launching TV channels, maybe might have got associated for almost 25 to 30 TV channels, and launching them and gaining the revenues is one of the toughest thing. And yes, I used to always feel at a given time that the grass is greener on the other side. But I think even getting into marketing is equally tough. And so what I used to think is not. But even marketing is tough because you are answerable for each and every penny what you spend.
Exactly.
And whether pre-COVID or post-COVID or during COVID and all those things. Even pre-COVID, things were every marketer was answerable for each and every pie, and during COVID, definitely, even if anybody would have thought to even spend money, most of us I had already experienced that everybody thinks that spending of money during COVID, you are not going to get any results.
Any
And
results, yes.
that is the reason, in fact, we thought that let us look at some cases, and I think Prestige is one of the companies in the country which actually gained after during COVID. I'm not saying we didn't gain. We gained a lot and lot as far as real estate buying is concerned from our customers. And I think thanks to all our platforms which we had shown interest in, especially digital, which has helped us a lot. Along with obviously, real estate cannot survive without newspaper and all those, but definitely there are certain things which even digitally helped us. And I will just take you through some of those creatives, and also would like to mention over here, thanks to the management of Prestige, who had given us that kind of a confidence level. And we were the first person to get back into action when it comes to COVID time, wherein most of the advertisers or most of the marketers or most and not why most of the marketers or advertisers, the entire world was scared of COVID, and that is the reason it got into pandemic and all those kind of a stuff. And we were the first to come out of it and start our marketing campaigns on different platforms. And even we might be the first person to even open our office. I think good to inform that we are working 24/7 from 3rd of May. Immediately after the lockdown, the first lockdown was taken off. And thanks to the management again, that adequate advantages and all those things were given to all the employees, and uh, the customers anyway were not allowed to get into the building, which still we don't allow any of the vendors and all to get into our building. But yes, uh, I think we feel that instead of being reactive, we are people were quite active in checking out the entire scenario of COVID and how it's going to impact if we do not change and get certain things rolling. And that is the reason, in fact, I will share with you some of the things which we started doing it during. Can you see me on my slides?
Yes, Sanjay, we can see it.
Yeah. So that is the reason, in fact, we thought that let us look at, though we have always been talking about that uh, COVID has done this, COVID has done that, and all those things. But we thought that instead of not doing anything during the COVID days, let us also look for an opportunity to inform the customers or the buyers of or the prospective buyers of real estate to get into it and tell them that what exactly one can do, because I think none of us would have ever spent that kind of a time at home or with the family. What we were able to spend, especially like Prestigion and all those things, for just 14 days. That is a different story. And today also, there are a lot of organizations which are working from home. But we thought that let us also look at giving the options to the uh, customers and prospective buyers that what one should do. What happened is the first lockdown happened from March. Yes, couple of days we were also off some of the media, but as I told you, we were the first among the first people to also get back into the media when uh, COVID had just started. So I'm talking about typical different platforms which any of the real estate media activities actually get into it, which is why print. Everybody knows that plays a very important role, which even today in today's scenario also, though things have changed, print still plays an important role. Lot of FM station because of the kind of traffic we encounter in Bangalore, and maybe even if you have to go for 5 kilometers, it will take you a couple of minutes and half an hour, 45 minutes. So obviously, FM station is a important role. Cinema slides, billboards, television channels. Yes, though we are not very happy, we are not very heavy on television, cable, and satellite channels, but yes, especially for targeting the vernacular audience, we look at it. OTT, yes, we have started even before COVID days, and some of those other things, which is real estate portals and digital and social media. So this is just in random. It is nothing to do with the prioritization of the media. Maybe that the social media comes on the top and print comes at down. So don't take it that it is as per the prioritization or as per our spends or as per the spends of any of the real estate companies. Start of pandemic, these are the current scenario. A lot of people thought that let us also not get newspapers at home. I think still there are a couple of households in the country who are not getting into the newspaper subscriptions and all those things, because though INS and different newspapers like Times of India, Hindustan Times, and Hindu, and some big organizations have already started running a campaign that newspaper does not carry COVID, so better into the newspaper and all those things. But still, some of the subscribers who are staunch readers of newspapers have does not into it. FM stations still, yes, because due to less travel time, the listenership we feel has come down, and cinema, though it opened from 1st of October, but still we are yet to 15th of October. We are still to get some numbers from those guys whether they have any kind of audience and all those things. Billboard, Bangalore, we don't have billboards other than the big ones, which is towards the airport. Airport obviously had issues in terms of flights and all those. So again, a problem. Cable and satellite, low sentiments. OTT, low sentiments. So all other things are low sentiments, and that is the reason we thought, let us, why not we think something different? Why should not we not get into, which is most of our campaigns actually get in, is project specific. Like if we have to launch a project in Whitefield, we generally do a project specific campaign. So what we thought is to get back the customers with the confidence and all those, and especially when COVID had just started, and people were had to spend a lot of time and energy and 24 by 7 at home only, not even stepping out. In fact, I just heard a gentleman, Ankit, if I'm not wrong, before it, that he had jogging or cycling and all those things because of COVID. But trust me, as far as I am concerned, whether COVID or no COVID, I still continue my walk every day. That is a different thing. That it starts at 5:30 when most of us are sleeping. So I think better not to get into all those things. Be positive. Oh no, not be positive. Be optimistic, because one of the words which has gone out of the dictionary or taken as negative sense is to be positive. I think very soon the positive word itself will be written off by Oxford and not be part of any of the dictionary, because let us be optimistic, not be positive. So, as I told you that COVID gave us an opportunity to look at our walls or the place where we actually stay, be with the family, and that is the time. The first campaign what we got onto is enough space. So you will see that how we used to how people actually take care of when you have a small office or a small place. So one is a person just doing certain things on his laptop, another creative, and all these creatives did very nice, not only in the domestic market, but across the world. Another enough space where because you can't step out, everything is within home. Even yesterday I was listening to Minakshi of Google, who said that now she has got into gardening and all those, and that's a new hobby, or which a lot of people would have not even thought of, has gone into it. Again, another set of a creative. Every home has become a gym, because you can't step out, and all the gyms and places were closed. So all these things what we had experienced we had put it onto the creators, which we did for enough space. Kids can't go out because the government or the had said, or and along with the society, that kids playground and other places are closed. So these are the creators which we did, especially to tell that yes, you require a better space now. And next is Oyster is your home. Expand your Oyster to a prestige home. This was another, we ran that campaign, which I just showed, enough space for some time, followed by this campaign, wherein we say Oyster is your home now. Another set of creative. Think home, think prestige. This is what we did, like even if at all anybody is thinking to buy a home, and please have a look at Prestige. And as I told you earlier, that it has nothing to do with the project. It was a generic campaign for all our properties put together, in whether in Bangalore or in Chennai or in Hyderabad, Kochi, Mangalore, and very soon in Mumbai and Delhi. Buy online. Now, what we also started doing after running all these campaigns is, though we did this campaign, but still a lot of our customers were slightly scared of coming out of home. So what we did is, we move into your dream home and you can buy everything online. So this was another set of creative which ran across. This, which what we did is for NRI. You're thinking of buying something in Bangalore? Buy Prestige. Same thing is for Chennai, Hyderabad, and CBD for some of our properties, which are premium and luxury properties in Bangalore. We did something on those lines, wherein we said you want to buy something at Vittalmala Road or MG Road or Cunningham Road, please look at properties from Prestige ready to occupy. And good thing is that because we had the options of a lot of properties which are ready to occupy, we had also focused our communication on ready to occupy homes, because that was the time when people wanted to get into their home and not like to stay in a rented house, and or a better space wherein one has all kind of a facilities, a open space for the kids, everything. The kind of a creative which is again to do with the CBD. Then after this, what we did, once we had the mindset which was shifted towards people buying the properties, and we could see that uh, there were enough customers who started inquiring for the properties. Let us start looking at project specific communication. And we saw that starting from May onwards, the kind of a numbers what gave us in terms of buyers getting into the sites and all those things were quite encouraging for us. And I think that was all to do with the communication what we had put onto different media, that customers started visiting different projects and started inquiring and buying those properties and all. And trust me, yes, we were all scared of COVID. Yes, a lot of people lost their jobs. Yes, a lot of people had salary cuts. Yes, a lot of people had a negative and a depression and this, that, and most of the industries suffered. And we also read in some of the publications and newspapers and all those, that real estate will be one of the vertical which will take its own sweet time to get back into normal. But trust me, it never happened. Touch what I would say with Prestige, because we had that kind of a communication. We had got into the mindset of different customers. We did speak to some of the customers that what exactly they feel, and that is why we launched these campaigns. And for last 3 to 4 months, starting June, yes, May or June onwards, the numbers which come to us every month is better than COVID. Meaning, if I would have done X number of sales in the month of October 2019, I have already achieved those numbers as on 25th of October. And some of and sure that we will be achieving the same thing in the coming months. So that's why I thought let us talk about that pandemic for us, maybe blessing in disguise or whatever it is, of the communication or 24 by 7, 360 degrees of planning and all those things had given us some fantastic results. And that is not only confined to the affordable homes, that is confined to affordable homes, that is confined to premium homes, luxury homes, villas, and some of the ultra luxury apartments what we have in CBD, that has really given us some good numbers. So this is what we did. We have a project in Whitefield, Lakeside Habitat. Again, though not specific or a generic thing, but telling a customer made my owner move for the easy commute. Again, another set of creative for PLH. We have another property called Prestige Lake Ridge, wherein we set Metro Dosa, tennis, fountain coffee. This we have a property at Kamanhalli, wherein it's called North Point. This what we have a property in Kormangla. So if you look at the theme, what we started with, which was more of a informing the people that what exactly they can think of doing it, got into project specific, so that in case you have any kind of a requirements at Kormangla, you have fine. Would you have anything at requirements at Kamanhalli, you have another property. So we had done this campaign. Then what we also started doing is, I will just take another half a minute on this. Earlier on, whenever we used to launch a property, we used to call the channel partners, which always play a important role for any of the real estate companies, to the project, along with some of our prospective customers and all this. But once we got into COVID, we thought it's not advisable, because at that time we also had a limit of only 50 people, which one can get into any place and all this. We thought, why should not we also start doing a virtual launch, wherein it will not only be confined to channel partners, it will not be only confined to Bangalore. Let us also go beyond Karnataka to other states in case anybody is interested. So what we started doing is we started getting into virtual launches, and we have all kind of facilities in our new office at MG Road, wherein we have a holographic table which gives you a 3D kind of stuff. You have 3D mapping of the entire project. So we thought, let's get into virtual launch. The first virtual launch what we did was for our property, which is at Goa. Trust me, this is the first time we have gone out of south to a market like Goa. So this was a communication which we did in Goa publications and along with other digital platforms, another set of communication. We had launched a property called Prestige Waterford. So what we did was, I'll just get into a video before we got into this property. We did this teaser campaign. So this was the campaign which we did for our, 1 second, where am I? For our Waterford campaign, and especially for our virtual launch. Again, different creatives which we have been using on uh, a different platform. We had another property launch which happened in August, September, which is called Primrose Hills. Uh, Again, it was a virtual launch with different set of creatives and all those things. Every year we do expo, which is it used to be done in one of our properties called Conrad and Sheraton. This time we thought let us also give a neat, different kind of experience to the customers, and we did it. We had done it at our Falcon Towers at Brunton Road, which is called Keys 2020. This was the set of creative which we had done. Unlock your new home and get into prestige. One thing more what we did now is, yes, property is something which one can only buy once in his lifetime. So that is why we thought, instead of, actually, people still, though there are a lot of things which are opening up, but still people are scared. Let us also look at doing something, a 3D, which is called, or a entire stuff which is to do with a virtual lens. We'll just do one thing. We launched this campaign, like, take a new look inside your new home, launching Prestige Virtual Lens. So you decide what property you require, which location you want to get into it, and you can actually have a 3D uh, feeling of the house. Like as I told you, Prestige Water.
We can't see what
You
you're
can't see
doing.
this?
Well, we can see virtual legs, that slide, title slide, but not what you're looking at.
Okay. Uh, uh,
You can just reshare, Sanjay. I think you can stop share and reshare.
1 second. Can you see now?
Not yet.
Hello?
Not yet.
Anyway, I will tell you that what exactly we do on VirtualX. You have to just get into the Prestige VirtualX, and you can have a 3D kind of a view of the entire project by way of uh, uh, aerial view. You want to see how your bedroom would look like. Everything is there in front of your system. So what we have giving experience to the customer is that, in case, before getting into the property or before even thinking of buying a particular project, you have a fair idea that what exactly you are getting into. And once you have an idea what you're getting into it, it makes life simpler for a customer to decide that, okay, fine, this is my dining room, which would look like this. This is the kind of a open space. This is the kind of a clubhouse. So everything is there in front of you before you actually get into the project. Yes, I'm not saying that you just get into the project and people will buy, or until unless you are staying somewhere in US or UK and all those things. And but especially if you're staying in Bangalore, you have a fair idea. And I'm sure Prestige is one of the first clients in the country to get into these things. So this is the creatives what we are using for our Virtual X campaign. Again, three different types of creative: luxury, ultra luxury, and all those things. You have a idea in front of your screen. Thanks. This is what I had to present. In case you have any questions, please feel free.
Thank you, Sanjay, for that very, very interesting presentation. And I think you're one of those very few companies which had the courage to continue engaging with prospects and customers during the pandemic, despite every other indication to the contrary. And I think we all know the kind of gloom and doom scenarios that were painted, especially for the real estate industry. But in the face of all of that, you all went ahead and engaged with them. You told your prospects, we understand what you're going through, that your world is now your home. And then you added some luster to that with the oyster, and then moved on to the fact that many people started thinking of buying a home and not being in a rented home during the pandemic. And you told them, if you're going to buy a home, it's got to be a prestige home. And then you moved on to the projects. I think it was layered wonderfully well, very insightfully done. And
And
I
really
think
creative campaigns. I think those creatives are not something you see typically from a real estate company, and really fresh out of the box and
absolutely.
well done. I mean,
So,
I do agree with you, Lalita and David, because we had thought or we had acted in such a manner that let us get something back to the customer, give it back to the customers, that, and especially at the time when most of us were into a different thinking process. And yes, we also used to hear that, man, why Prestige is getting into so much of communication and all those things, because people think differently. But good for us that we never stopped our communication, maybe for a couple of days initially. But we, as I told earlier, we were the first to get back onto the communication, and that may be one of the reason today. Even newspapers and most of the most of the media houses have started informing their uh, readers that real estate is bound to do good. Like just heard last week that the consumer electronics and has started, or then the automobiles have started uh, showing some good numbers vis-a-vis what it used to be in 2019. I think we have already left them behind. We are already started doing these numbers 4 months back. And that would be because of the kind of communication which we had thought of, and maybe that is one of the reasons that today we are back onto the good days for us.
so I think we'll open with the questions now, Sanjay. And
Yes.
Lalita and I will play tag. I'll ask one question, then she'll ask another. And then we'll move on to the audience questions so that we all have a chance to interact with you.
No worries. Please go ahead.
So the first question is, it's clear from what you all did during the pandemic that the brand engaging with prospects, the brand identifying with prospects, and the brand telling prospects if it's got to be a home, it's got to be prestige, worked very strongly in your favor. Most real estate brands spend most of their advertising on projects. Would you say that going forward, Prestige will also consider continuing to build the brand?
Yeah, definitely building up a brand is always important, and especially when I just told you that now for last 2 3 months we have also crossed south borders. We have already launched our project in Goa. We plan to come out in Mumbai and Delhi. If this thing would have not hit us, or if we didn't had any kind of a restrictions and all those things, so Bombay and Delhi would have also be up running. But we thought, let us, because we are getting into one of the most important markets in the country. Let us wait for some time and consolidate uh, the markets, understand the market. Though we have already started running a video campaigns on in Delhi and Mumbai for last couple of months, which says Falcon is coming. Uh, I don't know whether I would be able to share that with you or not because that itself is a beautiful creative. Just a second. So this is what we are doing. Please let me know in case if you are not able to view. Can you view this?
Not yet.
Not yet, Sanjay.
I think it's taking a second, Sanjay, after you share. So let me skip this. No, nothing yet, Sanjay. I think.
Nothing?
No,
I'm sorry for it. I don't know what is the issue.
never mind. I think we can imagine what it must have been like.
It's a beautiful video, which is again a teaser, which says that Falcon is coming to Mumbai, Falcon is coming to Goa, and you know that our logo comprises of Falcon. So we thought that yes, brand building is important. We have been doing a lot of brand building exercises, especially when we are not once in fact, when RERA came in, when we were not allowed to advertise unless you have a RERA. So that is the time when we did a brand building exercise. Now that we got into the COVID, that we thought that it is also good to first build that kind of a confidence among the prospective buyers and customers and all those things, and then get into project specific creatives. And as you just saw, yes, we had project specific creative, but the flow of the creatives what we had before project specific has also got into the creatives which we are running now. So it is like a combo of both. And yes, for any of the real estate guys, even for including prestige project creatives are important, otherwise becomes a problem because every project has to settle.
Yeah.
In case we are not able to do a brand exercise, then also is a problem. So it is, I think, combination of both brand as well as project, which we will still continue. And especially when we want to get into markets like Mumbai and Delhi.
Thanks for that, Sanjay. In fact, for those who are listening, we had a chance to see the, um, the short film that Sanjay is talking about, the teaser before they go into Mumbai, and it shows these enthralling scenes of Mumbai from the air, and you can see the shadow of the falcon moving over those scenes, much like you saw the dragon shadow in Game of Thrones. I think it was very thrilling to watch and very captivating. Lalita, over to you.
Yeah. So Sanjay, I think my next question is a little inclined towards digital marketing and how Prestige as a brand has taken on digital transformation. Right? You guys have obviously been ahead of the curve and been able to innovate so quickly in terms of communication, in terms of adapting to new platforms. So we've seen that in the last couple of years alone, there have been a lot of digital solutions that have come up, especially with AI and machine learning redefining the rules. And so my next question to you is, for these creative campaigns that you just showed us, were you able to leverage some of the newer platforms like a DV360? And if yes, how were you able to sort of drive those kind of successful results?
Thanks, Lisa. In fact, yes, uh, especially to get into the new platforms when it comes to because So we are already on digital with most of the platforms, and we are also off digital with some of the platforms. Reason is that initially we also used to, with most of the marketers used to do, was working on the impressions or the clicks or different uh, options which a platform used to give. What we had decided is we have gone into a system wherein everything is mapped in such a manner that even if the smallest of amount is spent on any of the digital platform is has to be mapped. So yes, we are on with Google. We are on with the DV360 thanks to Social Beat, who is really helping us out in running some successful campaigns with the DV on DV360 platforms and all those. And one thing good what we have learned is that better to have a targeted audience other than just doing a blast wherein we are not even knowing that where exactly we are reaching, where we are. And today, in fact, what even Minakshi, I think Minakshi only said that though they have 5 members and every 5 member would be watching something or their of their own content and all those things. And today, if I have to reach to my daughter who is working in SAP and have to communicate that why should not you pick up a house in, though she's my daughter, but why don't you pick up a house which is near to SAP labs in Whitefield? So I can communicate with her. And I think the way digital has helped us out to us is that actually targeting those customers is better to us. And now what we have also thought of and have started getting it again, thanks to Sunil and his team, comprising of Vivek and all, that they are, and especially Akhila, who's forcing us, not forcing us, who has convinced us to also get into vernacular communication, which is very important in today's time, especially in a market like South, wherein uh, lot of people are actually buying our properties, especially Prestige Bengal City from North Karnataka, and so better to communicate with these guys in their own language because they might speak in English, they might read in everything in English, but their consumption of content would always be a vernacular. And even for me, I would say that if I might speak wholly in English, but end of the day, once I'm at home, I would like to watch a good Hindi movie. So, though I've been in South, working in South for almost 25 years, but still my consumption is Hindi. So why not communicate with these guys in their own language? And what better way to communicate to these guys? And with that kind of a depth, with that kind of a uh, targeted group which one can think of. And definitely, as I told you, DV360 definitely for that in the days to come, it will become an important um, media communication for all of them.
Thank you, Sanjay. I think on that note, we also have a very similar question from the audience. So, Sambit has asked between Facebook, Instagram, and your own website or your landing pages, where did you get the highest amount of traffic from for your efforts?
From our own website. And in fact, we had done some changes on our website recently, and we have made it a lot of changes in it, and that is the reason that we are getting lot and lot of good number of leads, and that too because our leads on websites are all OTP verified. So obviously the major chunk of or the junk leads gets avoided, and so that the customer so that our uh, call center people do not face a lot of problems and all those things. So website definitely gives us good numbers and all those things. Frankly, Facebook we don't get too much onto it the way we get onto other platforms.
So that was another question that had come up earlier, but you've already answered it with regard to vernacular, whether you're using vernacular communications, which you are. But the next part of that question is about the role of video. How much video do you use? Although this is real estate marketing, and when it comes to project, you could do a mix of both in terms of showing the project as well as getting in, people to fill in their details, etc. How much video do you use, and do you use video in languages as well?
Uh, as far as I'll tell you, shooting a video, yes, we do a lot of project specific video, and that too before launching a project, that is a walkthrough and all those things. And when you do a such kind of a video for a customer, it does not make a difference unless you actually show him the entire room. And that is the reason now we had actually come out with virtual X, wherein you get into your own home virtually before thinking of. And shooting a video, and that too when we are more of uh, wherein most of our sales comes from a specific market. Shooting a video is a expensive proposition for us, and that too for a year or two. Shooting a video and then putting it on a TV channel is another expense. So there are a lot of expenses which are attached, and going nationally on a particular platform, because regional specific, which at a given time used to happen with uh, uh, an organization called Amagi, has stopped COVID. So you cannot only have your communication Bangalore specific or Karnataka specific. So if I have to spend that kind of a huge monies on the production of my commercial, and I'm not able to utilize it nicely, I don't think so that kind of a spend is advisable at this time. That does not mean that we don't get into videos at all. We do get into videos, but very specific, and that is again, as I told you that. So sorry that you were not able to see those teasers and all those things. We are doing all those videos which are done by our own team internally, and which we use it on OTT platforms and a little bit on Kannada TV channels.
Sanjay, so I've actually.
But yes, we have some plans to get into the other cable and satellites maybe once we have projects in Bombay.
Sanjay, I was actually able to find that Falcon video. Would you like me to play it?
People will have a fair idea that what exactly we are talking about.
Sorry, could you come again?
Yes, go right
ahead. If you can, please go ahead.
Absolutely, yes. I hope it's audible.
Thanks, Lalitha.
You missed the last bit where the falcon comes and lands on the logo.
I think let us do these videos in. We are doing it in some of the markets like Bombay and Pune and all those. Maybe once we approach near to launching the project, we will get into other platforms also.
So there's a nice question from Vivek. He says, given what your annual expectations are, how much of an impact have you been able to create in the last 6 months in terms of, percentage of the annual expectation?
Yes, as I told you that initial days or initial months were not as good or anywhere near to what we had done in 2019, and that is true for the all the entire industry except for e-commerce, wherein they would have shown some double growth in double and all those things because everybody wanted to have the products delivered at home. In the first 6 months, we were able to, I think now we are almost on par with whatever we had done in 2019, first six, if we talk about April, September 2019 to April, September to 2020, we would be almost on the same level or gone beyond that.
Wow.
And we should be going beyond. I'm sure we will be able to have our better numbers once we approach March 2021.
That was the second half of Vivek's question, whether there would have been that impact for the year. Yeah. Okay, you've answered that as well.
And we should be. We are very confident that we should be able to achieve those numbers. And thanks to our sales team, that in these kind of a scenario also they are able to get those numbers. And thanks to the brand which has been created called Prestige itself, that people have a lot of confidence on the brand, and that is one of the reasons that we were able to have that good numbers coming back.
I think that one of the reasons that you were able to continue being active during the pandemic was you had inventory that could be sold, but a lot of the project work might have come to a standstill, right? When did you start work on the projects itself? All the migrant
If you ask
laborers
me,
have gone away.
that is something again. I think I should have informed you earlier on. One thing good what the management did, though we have a couple of hotels in Bangalore, Conrad and Sheraton and a loft and our own office cafe and all those things, just to utilize those services and all those things. The kitchen never closed in any of these places. What we used to do every day, even during COVID, we used to have packets, few thousands of packets, which was prepared in these places. And every day we used to go to our projects. Every day we used to go to some of those areas wherein uh, people had problems in buying food and all this. We used to deliver these packets to all the individuals over there. And uh, again, yes, after a month or two, everybody had started. But even during the first lockdown, when most of us were facing this problem, our kitchen never closed. And that is one of the reasons that we were able to retain most of our labor, which was working in different projects, and giving them the kind of confidence that in case anything goes wrong, we are there to help you out. And that is the reason. Uh, I don't think so. Any of our projects, if any of the project is to be delivered early next year, it will be delivered to the customer early next year. That we are inaugurating three projects on 4th of November. So that is the reason, because we had again uh, preempted and thought of that. Let us also look at our customers. Let us also look at that. Let us not delay our projects beyond. Yes, I'm not saying that entire thing will be 100%, but we are much near to 100% other than going back. Or though RERA has also given options to some of the to all the builders to have a little bit of cushion in terms of the delivery and all those things. But because we've had taken care of our labor across Bangalore and other markets, our construction continued, not 100%, but at least it continued.
That's really good to know. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Anyway, I tell you, because we could see that the entire country at that time was in such a mess that everybody wanted to take a bus or a train when the transport started. Go home. Yes, some people left, but some people also were they were convinced that Prestige will, and which we did, because as I told you, that none of our kitchen was closed any of those days.
Amazing. Any last question, Lalita?
I think just want to ask if you have any tips for real estate players out there as to how they can transform their marketing strategies to either digital first, or how can they come up with innovative solutions to sort of stay ahead of the curve and ensure that they meet the demand as well.
I feel that, as I told you, that everybody has to be optimistic on their approach, not look at something which is anyways done and over for us, and look at various digital platforms, especially when it comes to DV360, and which actually gives you the kind of audience which matter to you, other than just wasting monies and energies, and especially when each and every pie is important for us. Let us look at the platforms which delivers to the right audience at the right time. Especially, why not when DV360 or Google and different platforms, like even LinkedIn for that matter, gives very nice results to us. And that is the reason we are out of some of the platforms which a lot of real estate actually get into it. And we are into very, very specific platforms, which gives us result, because every month we have our internal discussions in terms of which platform has given us what.
I think you summarized it beautifully, Sanjay, when you said reaching out to the right kind of audiences on the right platform at the right time.
So I think the message is clear. You've said that we need to be optimistic and we need to build from here going forwards. We need not necessarily be positive, but we need to be optimistic. Because as Sanjay kind of reiterated, during the age of Corona, if you say be positive, it's almost like a very negative statement. So thank you very much, Sanjay. Sorry?
If you say be positive, then people will quarantine you.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that very, very interesting session. And it's wonderful to see how Prestige has managed this very difficult period in not only taking care of the construction workers, but in ensuring that the inventory moved by reaching out and connecting with consumers. And at the same time, you also brought in new ways of marketing, including programmatic and DV360, which, as you said, you're seeing the results. So you'll be committed to going forwards. So thank you very much for a very
thanks
session.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Lalita. Thanks, Sunil, for giving us opportunity to talk, and very nice to be on board, and look forward for such more sessions in the day. And all the best. And as I told you, let's be all optimistic. Nothing is there. Everything is back to normal.
Thanks a lot for taking out the time. I know you've been very busy with Prestige Keys and a lot of campaigns, and despite COVID, it's been a hectic period. And I think your insights and the innovation you're driving at Prestige, not many real estate firms are doing it, and which is why I think you all are one of the top construction companies and developers in India as well.
One thing more, Sunil. In fact, though you will see that some curtains and all behind because today happens to be Eid, so we are not working. Otherwise, I would be sitting in office only and talking about it. As I told you, we are open from the first week of May because today happens to be H50 for us. That's why at home.
No, definitely. And thank you. It's been really nice working with you and the team as well, with Fahad, Keshav. I think
Thanks, Sunil.
all are
Thanks.
really amazing professionals to work with. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Same here, Sunil. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lalita.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay, David, and Lalita for that amazing session on real estate and acing real estate marketing during the pandemic. Before we move on to Mr. Anuj's session, we're going to have another quiz round. You guys know the drill. If you can, please head to slido.com and put in the event code DPL2020 or scan the QR code on the screen. And also, if you guys can please put in your full name so we can reach out to you at the end when we announce the winners. Please head to slido.com and put in the event code DPL2020. All right, we'll just quickly jump into the quiz. The first question here is, what is the maximum character limit for a tweet? Is it 145 characters, 120 characters, 240 characters, or 280 characters? Most of you said 280 characters, and that is the correct answer. It was revised about a year ago where it was doubled from 140 to 280. Moving on to the next question. Which is the second largest search engine in the world? Is it Bing, YouTube, DuckDuckGo, or Google? I think there's a tie between Bing and YouTube, but the correct answer is YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. Moving on to our last question. What measures email marketing engagement? Is it delivery, hard bounce, double op rates? Is it open rates, click-through rates, and bounce rate? Or is it site traffic and cost per click? Which is a metric we go by when it comes to email marketing? All of you got it right. It is open rates, click-through rates, and bounce rates. Thank you so much for participating in the quiz, everybody. Now handing it over to Mr. Anuj and Vikas.
Thank you so much, Ruhi, for that quiz. And I think it's getting more and more tougher as time goes on. But thanks for that.
Absolutely.
Great. Hi, Anuj, and a warm welcome to the Digital Premier League. It's great to have you here.
Hi Vikas. Hi Dhruvi. How are you all? Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you here today.
Absolutely.
Warm welcome. Thank you for taking out the time.
Certainly. Hi Sunil.
Great. So I'm going to start off with a quick introduction, Anuj, of you. So Anuj Gradia is the director and promoter of Dosti Realty, and we'll definitely talk more about Dosti in a few minutes. Anuj is an alum of Penn State University and completed his civil engineering from there. And over the last few years, he's been involved in scaling up Dosti Realty. And they recently crossed the milestone of 10 million square feet over the last 4 decades, and now they're building additional 6 million square feet. So it's been exciting to see that scale up, Anuj. The company also has experience in various development types, be it residential, commercial, retail, IT parks, and more. And over the years, it's been known for aesthetics, innovation, quality, and timely delivery as well. And one personal fact about Anuj, he's also, triathlon is his passion. He's been, doing that for a while, and he's actually the first Indian triathlete to complete the Ironman 70.3, which actually includes a 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike ride, and a 13.1 mile run. So Anuj is super fit, and we are super glad to have you here today. Welcome, Anuj.
Thank you so much, Vikas. It's actually very kind of you, and thank you for the introduction.
Absolutely. So great, Anuj. So we'll start off with the milestone that you recently, got, which is, building 10 million square feet. It's an amazing milestone. Would you like to share some key aspects of that journey of Dosti Realty, of having gotten here over the last 3.5, 4 decades?
Yes, Vikas. Yeah, certainly. So, if I just give you a brief about the company, it's that we've been formed in about the mid 1970s or so, around 1975, 76 by my grandfather. And he started the company off by doing small individual towers in various suburbs of Mumbai.
Right.
Gradually towards 1985, 1990s is when a few couple of more senior employees who are working now had joined him along with my father. And that was when I would say that even the country was doing fairly well. And we decided to grow from doing only one tower developments to maybe like a 30 a building with 30 or 45 flats, to actually getting into township like projects with 4 to 5 buildings. Gradually, with things getting easier and seeing potential success coming up, we decided to further expand into larger portions of land. And I would say as of now that we specialize in, our forte is in buying company land. So be it industrial company land of either ACC Cement or Skanska India, or as you know that Bombay is a city was full of mills back in the day. There were
Correct.
textile
Yes.
mills and mill landlords used to run the city. So all of these lands have turned out to be, I would say, fairly good pockets of parcels for development. It has the clear and marketable title, and the transaction is made from one person to other person, compared to when you buy agricultural land, it's a lot more challenging. So we saw that gradually about in from 1990s to 2000 is when we further scaled up operations. And the biggest boom came when we like purchased a 20-acre parcel of land in Wadala and Top Hill, which we
Right.
purchased from the American contractor Skanska India Private Limited. And that area is then got transformed into Dosti Acres and Dosti Ambrosia. Dosti Acres, I would say, we have the first clubhouse. Right now, doing a clubhouse in any project is extremely common and every customer expects it. But
Correct. Yeah.
in the day, along with Mr. Hafiz contractor, whom we share a good working relationship with, he was the one who convinced us to let go of some flats and plan a clubhouse. So to inaugurate the clubhouse, we had called Mr. Hafiz and HDFC chairman Mr. Deepak Parekh, and that was the, I would say, embankment of starting the clubhouse culture, what you see in every township like project today. After that, we saw a good opportunity in Thane city as being a sister city to Mumbai, and good and neat land parcels. We saw it had wide roads, good development potential. Is when we branched out there, and again we began to look into factory land purchases in Dosti Vihar at Pokhran Road number 2 and Dosti Imperia on Gorbandar Road. And eventually we even began a project called Dosti Planet North in Shilfata. And after this, I would say all of these jobs between 2005 to 2015 or 16 consisted of roughly 20 to 25 acres of land parcels each. And now, in the last 3 to 4 years, we decided to go even further and do like a proper integrated township, like what we have at Dosti West County in Thane and Dosti Greater Thane in Kalher. So both of these projects are about 100 acre plus land parcels where we plan to ensure every facility what a customer would want is present in the project itself, so be it a hospital, a police station, a post office, an ATM machine. The customer would feel like the township is his entire life. There'll be a school for his children, and just ensuring that every part of the customer's life has been taken care of. So it's been a I would say fairly good and challenging journey. I mean, I would even have to thank all my seniors in the company as well who have led the company so well. And we are looking forward to even taking it to even greater heights and trying to expand to other cities, which we will see based upon how
You were breaking up a little bit, Anuj.
Hi Vikas, can you
Yeah, I
hear me
can.
clearly
We can
now?
hear you now. Yes, absolutely. We can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think there was a technical error at working.
Yeah, I think it's better now. We can hear you now, Anuj. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's working fine now. So I'm sorry for the issues. Yeah.
No, no, not a problem. Yes. So I think, continuing on that theme, I think one of the things we've seen is that now there are so many different real estate players, right? A lot of players, smaller players as well, who come and many of them shut down as well. How do you think Dosti has been able to kind of maintain their legacy over the last 4 decades, right? What is it that's held that glue together to continue scaling, continue growing? What are some aspects of that?
Like, can you hear me clearly, Vikas?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Anuj. Yes.
Okay. So I would say that the most essential part about growing and keeping I would say our family of employees together is hiring the right person at the right time
Right.
and ensuring that our employees, their families, they feel like they're a part of the family. And we follow, I would say, principally 3 to 4 main for the last 4 decades. So, namely, they would be transparency, ethical behavior, humility, and honesty. Other than we do have to ensure that we are sustainable, we are constantly innovating. These 4 concepts and these 4 ideas have been the most important for us. And even though with old staff resigning, getting new staff on board, we have to
Right.
ensure that the culture and the ethics and the mindset of all of us remains the same from the inception of the company. So, which is why I feel that definitely it's happening, and I would say enlightening that in especially all parts of India, becoming a real estate developer is becoming more and more common. And even various projects, how the city of Mumbai is really encouraging self redevelopment, which is a big initiative for a couple of society members to come together, spend time, appoint an architect, appoint an engineer, and get the work going. So it's good to see that things are opening up, matters are
Yeah.
becoming more and more transparent. And something even unique about us, I would say that even though the Real Estate Regulatory Act came into place in 2016, it was planned to come in 2012 to 14, but eventually it was cemented and published in 16. Most of the more than 90 to 95% of the guidelines that have been put in the act is what Dosti Realty had been following as a principal practice over the years. So
Right.
we did not huge challenge adjusting to the new norms, the new guidelines, provisions of certificates, provision of quantifications by a CA, an architect, and engineer, I would say things were more or less in place. And it had been a smooth transition, be it with various architects have come to the real estate sector. There's been a RERA, there's been a GST demonetization.
Correct.
But I would say that since we have had morale we are still looking new entrants, getting to know them, and eventually we would like to expand across cities as well.
Sure. No, absolutely. I think that the enterprising team that you have, and like you said, the transparency, all of that is something that is visible in the interactions that we've also had with the team. So definitely would vouch for that. The other thing I wanted to really understand, Anuj, was you did mention about Wadala, you mentioned about New Thane, and I know you've done a lot of work in Sivri and now Balcom and other areas. How do you plan these, right? Because some of these need to be planned probably 10 years ahead or 15 years ahead. How do you plan for them? How do you plan what configurations would work at that point in time? Even from a marketing perspective, how do you plan these large townships beforehand?
So as to idea of what the market to expect. So I would say that back in the day for when eventually if we do have a project, something would come up immediately. Hello.
Sorry, not able to hear you, Anuj. I think you broke off a little bit.
Hi Vikas, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, now it's getting better. Yes.
Okay. So as I was explaining that it definitely does require a very important entrepreneurial risk in order to decide which land parcel to buy, planning the right configuration, the right amenities. And I would say one very essential part or very essential point in our success has been this contractor and his team of architects. Since they are doing at least 60 to 80% of architecture across the country, we always get and we even conduct various market surveys. We send our marketing team the look, understand the project, understand what kind of people would like to come here, what would be the right ticket size for a that we find this is good, this should be right. But as and when with digitization, trying to make our company a more tech-driven company, there are a couple of companies who have guided us and helped us. So there is a tech company called Lysis Forest or a
Right.
PropStack and a CRE Matrix who actually help us out. They do a market study. They have data from RERA or the registrar's office, ticket size, what pricing, what configuration, be it a small two bed, a large two bed, or a four bed, what is selling in this particular micro market. So today, more and more modern, we have been working with them, taking their expertise. But back in the day, I would say it was purely an entrepreneurial instinct or so, which actually helped our seniors decide and plan what to do in a particular project.
Right. Absolutely.
And
No, I'm
even
sure.
going forward, now we're seeing,
No, please go
yeah,
ahead,
so
Anuj. Yeah.
I was saying that going forward, we are seeing that right now also with the various issues and we living in a time of the pandemic, we are seeing that a lot of people, especially Mumbai, is a it's slightly unfortunate, but Mumbai is full of slums,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
we have seen that in such times, the need to have a private bathroom, the need to have your own bedroom, your own space is extremely important. So we are seeing that planning small homes, planning homes under 50 lakhs, under 40 lakhs, or even planning homes in Mumbai, where
Right.
it's very tough to get a home under 1 crore in Mumbai. So right now, I would say the whole idea is to plan small, budget small, and we are seeing that demand is surely there on the customer side, even though their
Right.
savings have been depleted in the pandemic. The urge to have your own pakka house, your own concrete house, is extremely high, and people
Right.
don't mind going a bit far away, as long as the elders in the family would have to take longer journeys to work. But it's the grandparents and the children who will get to enjoy the township, the amenities. They get to enjoy a swimming pool, a lawn tennis court, a cricket ground. So as Indians, all of us are, I would say, it's a mindset or culture of Indians is that I feel every human being goes to the next level to support their elders and children.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's, I would say, been driving the market as on today, and we are seeing reverse migration. People who were flocking to Mumbai from other parts of Maharashtra, they are now looking to stay away from Mumbai and travel to Mumbai and live in Mumbai and have a comfortable life.
Yeah, I think you got cut towards the end, Anuj, but I think now you're back on. Can you hear me, Anuj? Yeah.
I can, Vikas. Yes.
Okay, great. No, I think definitely the consumer trends are shifting, like you said. A lot of I think the home has become so important, right? Because of COVID, we've all spent a lot more time at home, and it becomes an important space for all of us to get better at. Absolutely. So shifting tracks a bit, Anuj, towards the marketing side, right? And you've recently rebranded yourself and gotten a new logo as well. And I know it kind of sets, it's in motion because also you have a very dynamic culture. Would you want to talk a bit about the new logo and new identity and how that sets in with the future, what Dosti is looking at?
Certainly. So we were actually looking to implement and get a new logo in 2015-16 or so. But unfortunately, due to delays or not being the right time, we kept the decision on hold. And
Right,
then we thought that during the tough times of the pandemic in the months of April, May, and June, when literally everybody was caged up in their homes, using more and more data on digital content, be it a Facebook or YouTube and Instagram, or even
right,
normally on Google, we thought this would be the right time to get our new logo out. And I would say the new logo represents maybe something like a modern leadership coming into the company. The old logo also had been modified 2 or 3 times in the past, but this modification is a drastic modification where we have endeavored to keep the basic essence, the colors, the frame, the name, and the tagline the same, but we have just rebranded the logo to make it more simple to relate to, and even to ensure that it has a clear connection with today's public and today's renewed young mindset.
right.
And I, I would even have to applaud my sister as well, who was very influential, and she was the one behind me and like the entire family to get this out.
Right.
So I feel it's been accepted well by the public as well, and we have got a fairly good feedback and even got good positive reviews about our new logo.
No,
So
absolutely. And
we
I
think
think
that
it, like
going
you rightly
forward,
said,
this will help us out.
it brings out the young and the dynamic nature of Dosti and the way it's headed. So definitely it's come out really well. And I think all of you also explained the entire identity a lot more uh, in the videos that you made as part of the launch. And I think you also launched it in a way that everyone understood what you were trying to do and what you were trying to go after. So that was, I think that was quite impressive as well. And how have you seen digital evolve for you, Anuj? Because I know you've been doing marketing for many years now, and how has digital come into that mix, and how do you see how has that changed, especially also during the last 6 to 7 months during COVID?
Sure. So before I just take up that question, I would just like to touch up on a bit of the past as well. So once I joined the company back in 2016,
Right.
and since 2017 is when we decided to become more digital. Earlier we had every department would have their own software, and then they
Right.
would have to interrelate, intercorrelate, and pull up a report to present to management. That was when we decided that if we're going to grow at a similar pace every year on year, this model is not going to be feasible for a long time. So
Right.
we did a quite a lot of research, and eventually we decided to do a ERP implementation. So for the viewers, like a ERP is a enterprise resource management system to ensure that all our employees are working on the same platform. All reports, be it of engineering, of marketing, of construction, of finance, of accounts, are visible on the same platform, and all of them are interrelated. So if
Right.
one department is slacking, the effects are felt in the other department. So it is more of a, it encourages interdepartmental coordination even further. And to ensure that maybe the CRM department is showing correct numbers to management, they need to ensure the sales numbers and marketing numbers of our marketing expenses and budgets are put in the platform as well. Gradually, we saw that after having invested a sizable amount into the ERP, is when the pandemic struck us, and we were, I would say, fairly decently prepared also. But due
Right.
to the pandemic, we had to resort to a lot of new mediums of marketing. We decided to go for an entirely tech driven process, make our websites more user friendly. We decided to even do drone shoots of our projects and send them out on WhatsApp clips to all our customers. We chose to make virtual tours of our sample flats of our offices, and definitely with the help of various applications, be it Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Hangout, is when we saw there was a demand for homes had always been there even during the pandemic, but there was a
Yes.
fear, and there was a, I would say, a stigma of not coming out of the home. But people had a lot of free times on their hands, and we were able to interact and meet with a lot of potential customers, even a few NRI customers who normally in their busy lives and busy schedules could not make time out to meet us actually. And they would
Correct.
say, when we come to India, we will come and meet you. So definitely when the with the pandemic, that reason was not really viable. So eventually there were a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of Zoom group presentations, and overall with the help of technology, in terms of developing a lot of videos of our show flat, sample flat, sales offices, allowing a customer to actually buy a home online. So we have been even successful, and even would like to thank you and your team as well for putting in a good amount of effort to put our inventory live and to ensure that a customer who back in the day would have to send an office boy or he had to come himself to site to give a check to us, he can now do a direct credit card payment or a direct RTGS transfer.
Correct.
So all of these innovations have tremendously helped us out, and it has helped us battle with the pandemic in our own ways to keep the business model alive, but having slightly tweaked it to become more tech friendly, to reinforce and reinvent better processes in the company.
No, absolutely. It's been a pleasure, Anuj, I think, working with you and the team to be part of that journey, to do the transformation. And I think lots more to do, but it's been exciting to make some of those changes happen. And during this transformation, Anuj, did you also have to relook at retraining some of your sales team or the team internally? Because the process and the way you would interact or sell homes is also obviously evolved, right? It's so once the customers inquired, even the process from the inquiry to sale has changed a lot. So how is the internal sales team handling this? How are you training them? Are there any insights that you can share over there? No.
So, sure, absolutely. Actually, I would say that before, when a customer was shortlisting a project or a home to buy,
Yes.
they actually had, they would take out the time and energy to visit every project. Be it there were 5 projects back in the day, Now in the particular micro market, there may be about 20 projects and a customer practically cannot go everywhere, especially in the Thane and Shilfata micro market. So we saw that we have to ensure that we are so aggressive and so active on Google search, and be it Facebook search, YouTube search, because choosing a home has become like maybe going online and just typing 2 BHK homes in Thane, and if you aren't the first 5 guys out there, you are not shortlisted. So we had to definitely ensure, especially with our marketing team and digital marketing team, to ensure that all our projects and our brand is definitely in the top 3 or top 4 advertised searches on, be it a Google, Facebook, YouTube, or even Taboola. And coming to how we decided to even retrain our sales team, there is a popular institution here in Mumbai called REMI. So it's a real estate training institute which typically trains college students as they mark their journey and decide to venture into real estate. They opened an interesting program to allow all developers and their teams to come on a digital medium and get more trained, get more accustomed to how to deal with customers on a digital medium. Because definitely the kind of interaction you can have with someone, you need to be well versed and well understanding which screen to share, which screen not to share, what to show. Because eventually we know that you have to only convince the customer to come to your site when a person is buying a home. That's a once in a lifetime, or even I would say there are families where I would say in 2 generations or so, people haven't left the home. So buying a home being such an important and emotional process for us Indians, we knew the customer eventually is going to come. Be it he'll come with a mask, he'll come with a visor. We were also
Yeah.
trained to accept all of that. But ensuring and putting an impressive pitch to them over a digital medium was the most important part. So we spent about a week and a half to 2 weeks ensuring that our teams get trained. And even we have a good mix of young millennial generation and even the old generation. So we saw that in these times, even the old generation have been extremely cooperative. They
Right.
have been willing to change. We ensured that all their IT equipment, be it a desktop or laptop, what they keep with them in office, was transported to their homes and residences from
No,
where they.
that's great.
Yes.
No, that's fascinating. And I think, that's part of the process of really taking your team through that journey as well, right? Because the customer has evolved and so does the internal team. And I think it's been great to see you and the team personally involved to make that happen as well.
Certainly.
And one of the key marketing properties you've built over the years is the Dosti Friendship Month. And I know we've done that digitally this year. Can you talk a bit about the Dosti Friendship Month as well as, and how have you seen that evolve over the years to what it's become now?
Sure, sure. So this year in 2020 has been the seventh Dosti Friendship Month,
Yeah.
and we had taken a call in 2013-14 or so that we need to ensure we have 1 month of best offers, best pricing given to our customers. So
Right.
we thought that Dosti, meaning friendship in Hindi, we decided that World Friendships Day falls on the first Sunday of every August. So we decided that initially we used to do a Friendship Day campaign, Friendship Day scheme, or Friendship Week. Eventually, the idea evolved, and we decided to do a Dosti Friendship Month. So as we have seen that every year we come up with something unique, something creative, and even our advertisements and our kind of marketing and branding in Friendship Month is full of vibrant and joyful colors, be it a yellow, a light pink, a blue. When typically our brand sticks to, I would say, traditional colors, be it a gray, a black, or so. But just ensuring that 1 month is something completely out of the box, where we offer the best scheme, the best pricing to our customers. Every year we come up with some new marketing technique. Be it last year we offered AC homes and modular kitchen. Last year in Friendship Month, we tied up with IKEA. We came down to Hyderabad, we saw a few of their products, and we designed 2, 3 flats along with them. And we were offering IKEA ready homes to our customers. I believe in the year before to that is when we had a gold and silver scheme.
Right.
With the purchase, we offer the customer some kind of additional incentive. And we have seen over time that we have a loyal circle of customers whom we refer to our DIC, that would be the Dosti inner circle of ex customers, and
Right.
our contractors, vendors, suppliers, marketing agencies, whom actually have given us feedback that they are not going to purchase properties in Dosti in any month except August.
Right.
So we have seen that people are really looking forward to the Dosti Friendship Month every year. And something new that I would like to share with you and the team as well is that we have decided that from last year onwards, we will do like a somewhat like a two friendship months per year or so. One would traditionally be in August, and the other one would be in the start of the next year, in the next calendar year, typically in a Jan Feb or so, after the inauspicious days of Makar Sankranti, is when we've been coming up with the Dosti Dhamaka campaign. So that was the time when typically, be it right now, IPL is being played in the October and September months, but I believe before a few matches were held in that time as well. So we came up with a scheme kind of combining the Indian Premier League along with the Dosti Dhamaka campaign. So to ensure that we have 2 months where we give the customer whatever best they're looking for.
Right.
The whole
Sure.
idea of it, and the idea is to ensure that even we do good business, but even ensure that the customer gets ideally what he deserves. And
No,
we look
absolutely. And I
forward to
think
doing a friendship month every year actually. Even our entire team looks forward to friendship month.
absolutely. And I think this year it was exciting to see how it came alive in digital. And I think it continues to do well for Dosti as a campaign. And like you rightly said, people remember it now, right? People recall it, they know it's going to happen. And I think it's definitely helped the brand a lot over the years to build visibility during that period. So
Mhm.
that's amazing to see. Coming to digital versus other channels, right? And I know many developers use print, you use outdoor, you use other channel partners as well. How has that entire mix changed, right? Because that's quite dynamic and it's evolving as we speak. But what have been some insights that you've seen between some of these channels, especially print and outdoor? How has that evolved, and has some of that money moved to digital? What are you seeing over there?
So certainly what we would see is if we have a marketing budget of 100 rupees or so for a particular campaign, before COVID, we would dedicate about one fourth the amount towards digital medium.
Right.
At least half the amount was spent on print and outdoor hoardings, with digital having a smaller share compared to them. But we have seen that with the pandemic, our percentage of spend for digital has actually doubled up also. I would say that be it right now also when we did a new project launch in Greater Thane and the new launch happening right now in Eastern Bay at Wadala, we have tried to ensure that we use our channel partner outreach and even use our own digital marketing efforts to ensure that we get more leads. We have to ensure that we have a larger call center. We even chose to outsource a few teams or certain call centers. So being digital, we are seeing that the kind of inquiry and the volumes of leads coming on a daily basis has even shot up drastically, with various telecom players encouraging more use of data, giving data at very realistic and good pricing. We are seeing that people in a daily morning hurry do have or don't have enough time to actually browse the paper. And if it happens that there are too many advertisements on the same day, they tend to skip a few of them.
Correct.
Even with hoardings and outdoor medium, especially in these times from, I would say, from March to June, July or so, every state government had taken up a lot of the hoardings to put up signs about the pandemic. and what should be done, be it maintain social distancing, wear a mask, don't go out. So
Correct.
our mediums to do marketing anyways had been cut down by about 40 to 60% on average. Now we are seeing that outdoor is picking up once again. But since digital has picked up in the early months, it has remained at the same level. And we see that going forward, the percentage of share in digital is even increasing more and more drastically. But I feel the most important part about being digital is to have a team that gets in touch with the customer immediately.
Absolutely right.
We are seeing digital to do doesn't require a big budget. So even our channel partners, they even work on digital mediums, and
Correct.
we need to compete with them. We need to ensure that if a channel partner's team can stay up till about 9:30, 10 or 11 and text the customer immediately when we get a lead or we get a WhatsApp message, we should not wait until next morning and then get back to him, because by then the lead has been captured. So we used to earlier have like a 1 day turnaround time, be it to reply to comments or feedback on be it YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And now with a lot of WhatsApp messages coming in, phone calls coming through digital medium, we are endeavoring and we are able to achieve 4 hours. You would even like to make it more efficient and even go down to less than 2 hours, how you see in the airline industry.
Absolutely. No, and I think that's, like you rightly said, that's a very important point to get final conversions, right? Because the faster we can call those customers, the higher the percentage of conversions we've also seen to site visits and then of course to purchase. So that's definitely very important. What about your largest township, which is West County, which is currently being marketed? When you have so many homes to be sold and you're building practically a complete township, how do you go about marketing a project like that? And how have you marketed your previous townships, and how are you looking at marketing West County and this time?
So in Dosti, West County being it's a project that consists of closely 105 acres of land or so.
Yeah.
And we had been, I would say that seniors in our organization had been involved in land acquisition all the way from 2005 and 6. And the advantage was that I would say Dosti West County consists of agricultural land, and lots of bits and small pieces of land were eventually combined to come up with
Right.
105 acres of property by itself. So firstly, what has helped us out is that buying small pieces of land gave us more connections to the local people in the area, and they would have a discussion in their social circles, in their families about Dosti coming up, which anyways has led to a lot of indirect marketing, or I would say non-digital, non-media, non-spend marketing, just direct word to word, mouth to mouth marketing. Eventually, since we had been procuring property for the last, I would say, 10 years, and we chose to launch Dosti West County in 2018, we did a fairly long teaser for about 1.5 months or so. And the idea was we were propagating a new project, a new township, a new area that someone can live in. Because as you see in Thane, the main growth center has been on Godbandar Road. And as you drive further up north towards Godbandar Road, you eventually come towards Fountain Hotel, which can take you further to, you can cross Maharashtra and enter into Gujarat. But the reason
Right.
being that on Godbandar Road, if you choose not to travel up north, you just take a right turn and enter the suburb of Balkum, where there are 4 to 5 branded developers, and all of us, I would say, are doing a good job, and all of us will ensure that none of us suffer. If we grow, all of us grow. If we don't grow, all of us, we like take part in our profits and take part in our losses as well. And since all developers in Balkum region have a sizable portion of land, the area has appreciated drastically. And from
Right.
a marketing standpoint, we have to always come up with something new. Even though our teaser lasted about 1.5 months or so, and then we chose to launch the project. After taking a sustenance period for again 2 to 3 weeks after that, we again had to come up with something new. And in Dosti West County is where we came up with IKEA furnished homes. Right now, also, since the Maharashtra government has offered a stamp duty waiver, earlier it was 6%, now it is 3%.
Right.
A lot of developers are absorbing the hit of stamp duty completely. And not only the entire benefit is being passed on to the end customer, even the balance 3% is being taken care of by the developer. So the customer feels like he's not paying any stamp duty whatsoever. And you have to come up with more and more schemes on a digital marketing front to excite the customer, to keep them involved constantly. Like as a venture to decide to further market our Dosti West County property, we have started the construction of a school in Dosti West County, which should be ready. We're targeting that it should be ready by financial year 2022. And if we offer possession, we do plan to offer possession in 2021. The parents have a peace of mind. The parents have peace of mind that immediately there is a good ICSE school or an IGCSE IB school in the vicinity, which their children can go to. Other than that, I would say even the government has been of good support, especially the Thane Municipal Corporation, because they have been influential in road widening, planning metros in Thane, planning the bullet train from beyond Thane. But still, it's very, very close to Thane, and we have the Metro Line 4, which takes you from Thane, Bhiwandi, Kalyan, and even
Right.
Metro Line 8, which gets you from Vadala to Thane. So giving more connectivity, more visibility, and there's even a Thane internal metro being built, which luckily the station is planned, I believe, right inside our plot itself. So it's a added advantage to the customers, and they know whatever they want for their children, for their grandparents, be it they want open spaces, it's there in the project. And lastly, even to get more interaction and do more of a activity and talking point on Dosti West County, we did a tie-up with a renowned dancing specialist, Mr. Shamak Dawar, and we have inaugurated, or we do plan to inaugurate soon, like a Shamak Dawar Training Academy at Dosti West County, which the residents can use at a subsidized rate. Similarly, in Thane, there are, I would say, 85% are Maharashtrian buyers who
Right.
believe or who have a hobby and passion for music, arts, and culture and singing. So, with Mr. Suresh Vadkar and his academy, we are even doing a Vadkar Training Academy at Dosti West County, where parents or even children, grandparents can come and spend their time in the clubhouse,
Right.
understanding, learning various forms of art and music. So it's been a challenge of ups and downs, but idea is to constantly market the project. And I believe once even we offer the first possessions in Dosti West County, things will change drastically for the project.
And like you said, I think a lot of it is about building the entire facility around it, the school, the metro, and as the entire area develops, I think the project kind of gets more marketable as well. And it's great to hear about the school, and there's so many things that are doing, which is obviously a step apart from many other developers, and that's one of the reasons why I'm sure, you know, we've been able to see those kind of grow rapidly as well. Any any final thoughts, Anuj, on tips that you want to leave other brands and other developers with, and what they should be doing as part of their digital marketing journey as they start leveraging digital a lot more?
Um, uh, I would say that it's been a learning process for us as well, and we've been able to learn and successfully manage to learn from, I would say, well-known developers whom we like look up to, be it internationally in Dubai or in Sri Lanka or in USA. So we have learned from them and managed to do what we could do here as well. So I would say what's very essential now is to be visible, Definitely, if you have a known circle of investors in a set market, then it's a different scenario. But as a any new company or new entrant in real estate, they would definitely need to ensure their ground rules are set right. We are following all the compliances of RERA. We are meeting all the basic principles of becoming a developer to ensure that the developer fraternity maintains a polished and impressive name in the industry. But it's very important for all developers to be tech driven. Back in the day, things were quite different. We used to have technical teams, be it the engineer, the site junior engineer supervisor, they would sell homes as well. But now
Right.
we're seeing the customers do expect a dedicated salesperson to come assist him, maybe go to their house, not in these times, but during a regular time, go to their house or maybe make a group presentation in their society lobby or in the AV room in their project. And
Correct.
it's very important that all of us maintain digital and we continue because we are seeing that with trends changing and how India is gradually migrating more towards becoming like a Dubai or so, how the market has evolved in UAE and Abu Dhabi. Eventually, it will become a little bit like America's after a lot of years, definitely. But at least I feel we should start up and follow the same track. And the most important thing is that we will see print going down drastically and digital medium taking at least a 65 to 70% lion share of any developer's marketing budget.
No, absolutely. That's great to hear, Anuj. I think that's definitely what the digital marketing agency would like to hear. But thanks so much for sharing your insights, Anuj. It's been great working with you and the entire team. And I think you and the team are actually very, very involved in the entire marketing effort, which is also not very common to see. And it's great that you've been able to do that. And wishing Dosti lot more success in the coming decades, and also to West County as one of the largest townships in Greater Thane as well. So thanks so much for joining us today, Anuj, and spending time and sharing your insights as well.
Thanks so much, Vikas. Thank you, Sunil, and thank you, Dhruvi, as well. It's been a pleasure to be out here, and even it's a pleasure to address the viewers. I see a lot of familiar faces out here as well, so it's a pleasure to see you as well. And wishing Social Beat as well very best of luck for the years to come ahead. Hoping to see you grow to new levels with us as well, certainly.
Definitely,
Thank you,
thank you so
Anuj.
much, and it's really a pleasure having you. And appreciate all the support and driving on innovation and digital. I think, as you mentioned, it's a journey, but I think Dosti has definitely started out on that journey to set up new benchmarks in the coming years.
Certainly, Sunil.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening, Anuj.
You too. Thank you.
Over to you, Dhruhi, for the next session.
Thank you so much, Vikas. And thank you, Anuj, for the on Dosti Realty and how you go about your marketing strategy. Before we hop into the next session, would like to just showcase a video of one of our partners, 23 Yards. It was actually started by Mr. Ravi Shastri. So we'll quickly just watch the video.
All my life, I've spent either on a 22-yard strip playing the game or commentating on what's happening on a 22-yard strip, or in charge of a team that spends a lot of time on those 22 yards. But what I learned very early and what I wanted from the very beginning was to excel at whatever I did, to do that extra yard, to go that extra yard, to want to get to that extra yard, which is the 23 yards. That's the fun. That's the challenge. That's the name of the game, and that's my motto in life, in whatever I do. It's something that, is ingrained in my setup from a very young age playing sport, and it carries on in whatever I do. So 23 yards, that's how the name comes.
Do check out their website and check them out on social media as well. I'm just going to drop their website here on the chat, so everybody can go have a look. So while we wait for the next session to begin, we can have another round of the quiz. Please do head to slido.com and put in the event code DPL2020, or you can scan the QR code on your screens. And please do join in with your full names so we can get back to you with the prizes and winners. 2020 with your full names. Thank you, Preeti. Do join in, guys. I wish I could start the quiz with 3 people, but we have 3 winners, so if some of you can join in. Just head to slido.com on your phones, and it's pretty simple. You just have to put in an event called DPL 2020, and then you'll be let in. Please do join in with your full names. All right, if that's about it, we can get started. Our first question is, Amit Verma, the head of marketing at Rapido, during his session here at the DPL mentioned that marketing is the new dash. Finance or sales? Marketing is the new? Most of you got it right. He did mention that marketing is the new finance. So this round of the quiz is going to be more related to the sessions at DPL. And yeah, I think most of you have been paying attention. Moving on to the next question. Ms. Shweta Shivshankar, Director Marketing at Unacademy, during her session mentioned which metrics are relevant in an awareness campaign. Was it clicks and installs, impressions and views, or conversions and sales? Most of you got it right. It's impressions and views. Next question is also from Ms. Shweta's session. She mentioned that after their top funnel campaign, Let's Crack It, they saw an increase in brand searches. By how many percentage was that? Was it 20%, 30 or 40%? Most of you said 40%, and that is the right answer. After the awareness campaign, they did see a 40% jump in brand searches. Thank you for participating, and thank you for listening to the sessions. Over to you, Sunil, for the next session.
Thanks a lot, Dhruvi. I think we have Karan join us as already, and Ajit, I think, is also here. Hi, good afternoon, Ajit and Karan. Very warm welcome.
Hi, Sunil. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Karan, are you there? You can unmute.
I'm sorry, I was on mute, I think. So sorry. Hi, pleasure connecting, guys. Good afternoon.
Hi, Karan.
My colleague Nandita as well, who
Hi, Nandita.
content and appreciated. So very warm welcome, Ajit and Karan. Thank you so much for taking out the time. I know it's going to be a very interesting discussion with two very smart and accomplished professionals. I'm really looking forward to this discussion. Before we kickstart, just like to spend a minute introducing each of you. Let me start with Ajit. Ajit is currently the CMO of Sundaram Mutual, but he's had a very illustrious career in the fintech space. He first finished his MBA from Great Lakes School of Management, and then went on to work with CTS, Cognizant Technologies, in the tech space. And post that, actually went to Bank Bazaar to start their mutual funds vertical, and that was a very successful initiative and a path-breaking initiative at that point of time. And post that has joined Sundaram Mutual to make it one of the most digitally savvy and fast-forward brands in the AMC space. He's also completed his course on digital strategy from the Indian School of Business. Very warm welcome, Ajit.
Thank you, Sunil. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And moving to just the introduction about Karan, currently Dindra, he currently heads marketing at Rupeek, which is one of the, I don't know if there are any other competitors actually, but one of the fastest growing gold loan players in the country. I think it was a space occupied by a couple of large incumbents which started decades ago. And Karan and his team have been able to really make a mark in that space and grow phenomenally in a very short period of time. Karan is a graduate from the Delhi University. He completed his bachelor's in economics and history, a very interesting combination, and then went on to complete his MBA from MICA. At the same time, I was in Ahmedabad as well, Karan, actually. Didn't know that. And then went on to Tata Teleservices, then did some very interesting work with Future Brand as well as Dulux, and moved to then FMCG with Marico before moving to Rupeek. So a lot of experience across different sectors there as well. So we have Ajit, who's been in the technology and finance space, and Karan, you've been moving across sectors, including FMCG. So really looking forward to tapping into your knowledge over the next 45-50 minutes. A warm welcome to you as well.
Thanks, Sunil. Great to be here.
Pleasure. So to kickstart, I think given both the companies are very different, like Sundaram Mutual as well as Rupeek, in the terms of one is part of a large group, Ajit, where Sundaram Finance and a lot of the other companies have been there for decades, and Sundaram Mutual has been able to move into the digital space and make a mark over there, whereas Rupeek is a digital first brand, right? So I wanted to spend the first few minutes to just discuss in terms of culture. And Ajit, you've been at Bank Bazaar as well, so you've had experience of starting up something from scratch as well. So it'll be great if you can share some insights in terms of the culture for a digital first brand versus working in an environment for digital in a larger organization culture.
Yeah. So sure. So had you asked me this question a year ago, my answer would have been slightly different, because you had the option of not being on digital. I think today you don't have that option, right? So digital is more a necessity than an option nowadays. So I think culturally things have changed, Sunil. You look at a traditional company like ours, strategically, the vision for growth has always been brick and mortar, right? You go and set out branches, you hire people. It's a tried and tested model. That's fundamentally how businesses grew, and financial services has grown in that backdrop, especially in India, as we've gone from an urban model more into the Bharat world. That's how financial services brands have actually grown. However, I think with what's happened in the last 8 to 9 months, and we'll probably talk about some of those as we move forward in this conversation. I think the imperative now is the management especially don't have an option any longer, right? You've got to look at digital, and you've got to look at moving into digital across functions, across processes, across systems. It's basically a way of running a business now, has changed completely. In that context, I think the challenge for culture happens when there is resistance. right? So today, there you don't find resistance any longer, because people have understood that there is a need to shift digitally. So if there are, for example, training, right? I'm sure there's going to be a massive lift in terms of training modules given to corporates going forward, because some of the roles which are not inherently digital first role will need to start looking at how can you augment employee skill sets to move into the digital world, right? So I think the challenge would have been far more heavier a year ago. I think this year, because of what's happened, you're going to find employees and organizations embracing digital. So I don't see it being a cultural barrier any longer. And I actually see companies and managements actually embracing the shift to digital more than what would have been the case a year ago.
So the pandemic has helped become the burning platform for digital as well.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely believe that. I think, and we'll talk through that as we move forward. But I think this is a structural shift that's happened, and I think it's here to stay.
Right, Ajit. No, thanks for that. Karan, it would be great to get your thoughts.
Sure. I think totally agree with Ajit. While he's representing a larger organization, adopting digital, and as the joke goes by that the chief digital transformation officer is COVID-19, which is it's like see, this was supposed to happen much earlier as well, and there were companies, especially in the startup ecosystem, you see that they were built on this whole principle and philosophy that things have to get digital to get those efficiencies, both for the customers as well as for the organizations to benefit from. So yeah, if I go back to my experience in at the larger setups, yes, and I think it goes back a few years, and I agree with Ajit here that the last 1 year has been instrumental in changing the philosophy per se. Being at the forefront of the technological innovation ecosystem and startups here, I think we got the benefit of being ready for something like this. This was expected sooner than later, but it happened during this period of time. So for us, I think for Rupeek, it was in the culture itself, and we could utilize all the investments towards building the the whole ecosystem of technology and digital first products, digital credit evaluation to the entire process. So yeah, this has been, that's why, a very helpful period, strong tailwinds.
Right, Karan. No, absolutely. I think working with both organizations, I think one is, like in Rupeek, it's from ground zero, so you're just building for digital first. Whereas in Sundaram Mutual, while there is now buy-in, already there is like a lot of assets, offline assets and mindsets which need to be shifted as well, right? Which is happening and is accelerated, but you still have to transition as well, right? Ajit?
Yeah, and I think that's where the terminology phygital comes into play, Sunil. I think so. I would never look at a scenario where what you've built so far is not relevant. Look at it this way, right? So we have as Sundaram Mutual, we've got over 95 odd branches, right? And we and a lot of cities, like for example in UP, we've got 11 branches in UP. Right. So yeah, so some of the branches may not be relevant any longer. However, people are still relevant, right? So the interaction systems have changed. The way people engage has changed. Those sort of transformations are going to happen. But so I think hybrid is a very, very popular word today in a different context. But I think phygital is actually a very, very relevant way of defining how companies like Sundaram Mutual will actually embrace digital, right? It's not that what you did a year ago or till a year ago for 20 odd years is irrelevant going forward. What you did has worked very well, and you need to build on that by actually building a digital ecosystem. And digital is no longer an enabler, right? And there's a big difference between being an enabler to a strategic lever itself, right? So digital will be the strategic lever to drive business forward, right? Whereas until now it perhaps was an enabler, right? So now you will start. So for example, Rupeek, clearly is a digital first business model, right? Ours was not a digital first business model. Ours was a brick and mortar business model, right? But digital will now help that model scale up through different ways, right? It depends on which company has what strategy. So I think we look at it as phygital, where a lot of things will happen digitally, but physical is still required.
Yeah, in fact, very interesting, point here. Totally agree with Ajit here. So one interesting thing we have noticed as a digital first brand, and something we have done differently during the COVID period, especially for a category like ours, which is, wherein we are not just lending and trusting customers. It's the trust is the other way around, because they are physically storing gold with us, to get that credit. So to overcome that trust barrier, and years of conditioning has gone into going to physical locations, and we continue to see our big competitors having branches every 3 kilometers. So what we've done is with our current banking partners during the pandemic. So we took a two-pronged strategy to to address the concerns during the brought about by COVID. So one was that people didn't want someone who could possibly be infected, because see, we have a doorstep model, right? So while some people were very comfortable with that they don't have to step out during this period of time, and then there was another big segment of people who wanted the comfort of the transaction happening in a physical location, just to get the trust going, and for the peace of mind and the cultural conditioning that has happened. So so that happened. So we actually introduced this thing that there is an option now to also take up and do the transaction at one of our partner branches, which is very close to your home. And we saw that once we started offering both of these options to the customer, the conversion percentages actually increased, from a lead to a conversion. So yeah, I agree that while there is a very high adoption and certain categories might completely remain digital first, but a good mix of physical and digital, and what we call the omni-channel sort of an approach for fulfilling the demand will be here to stay. And we have to have depending on the category, a good combination of the two.
Yeah, I think especially with something like gold, right, where people are very emotional and a lot of sentimental values also attached to something like that.
Yeah, Nandita, absolutely. So, so like I said, the trust is the other way around, right? We don't. So, as being a lender, we don't say, will you return, the amount taken or not? It's more about the customer saying that will you return the gold taken or not? So, and because of the whole, cultural conditioning, that this becomes even more important.
Right. Yeah, actually, our next question was around that. Given that a lot of people have come online, especially in the last 3 to 6 months, right? Have we changed any of our strategies, and how has that really, seen an effect in your campaign strategy and costs?
Yeah. So, just a background to this, Nandita. So I think the disclaimer that I want to add as far as mutual funds are concerned is you take someone like me. I've been investing for the better part of the last 15, 16 years. I have never invested offline. My first transaction was digital, and I continue to invest digitally, right? So there is this sense of excitement that people have that everything is digital today, right? I think the key difference is digital was there in a certain way. It existed in a certain way. So you look at our industry, we have 3 key stakeholders, right? You look at the manufacturer, which is the asset management company. You have the distributor, and you have the distributor or the advisor, who essentially takes the product to the customer. And then the third stakeholder, who's the most important, is the end customer itself, the investor, the customer. You have the regulator who oversees these 3 stakeholders. But so if you look at the customer was actually the first to go digital, right? The customer went digital way back. right? So a few years ago when I was at Bank Bazaar, I launched India's first paperless instant platform. But that was paperless because the onboarding process was paperless, right? 16 years ago, when I opened a mutual fund account, I had to open a physical mutual fund account, and then from there on, transactions were paperless, right? Because we had net banking, etc., etc. But the onboarding process was paperless. But guess what? Over the last 3 to 4 years, consumers have started opening, mutual fund accounts in a completely paperless manner. So I think consumers moved digital, a lot earlier. Distributors and advisors need to take products to customers. Now, that's a question of which generation they belong to, right? So I meet a lot of new age distributors and advisors today who continue to do their business digitally, right? And this is to a certain extent pre-COVID, who did their business digitally, right? They met customers virtually, and they logged in transactions digitally, and they serviced customers digitally, right? And some distributors did that a bit of physical and digital. Whereas some of the older distributors and advisors preferred the physical route, right? And you look at manufacturers like ours, ours was a different, very, very different business model because we had to